looking at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, where this afternoon the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Central Michigan University Chippewas both kick off the 1998 college football season. Hi, everybody. Along with Hawkeye All-American Mike Riley, I'm Mike Gleason. And with the beginning of a college football season, you have lofty expectations and some question marks. But when you look at the defensive front for the Iowa Hawkeyes, definitely no question marks there, Mike.
Well, there's no question that's the strength of the Iowa defense or the Iowa team right now. They have Jared DeVries coming back for his 5th year, and he's an outstanding player, preseason All-American. He's really the anchor in there that they're going to have to rely on this year to bring a lot of some of the younger players around. But he is an outstanding football player.
Jared DeVries thrilling the Iowa Hawkeye fans by just coming back and playing a senior season. Linebacker, one of the best right there in the Big Ten.
Well, no question about it. He's up for the Butkus Award, and he's one of those guys that can move up and down the line of scrimmage. He has good range. He's really a tough guy, and he, again, anchors that defense.
Now, Mike, if you're looking at some question marks, some huge question marks in the defensive secondary for Iowa, which plays into the hands of Central Michigan because they have 2 outstanding receivers.
Well, with that strength, obviously, they're going to probably exploit that the best they can and really attack that Iowa defense. And Iowa's defense, their number 1 player, Eric Thigpen's not going to be playing today, so they have really a bunch of rookies back there that are really going to be tested.
Reggie Allen, the game breaker for the Chippewas, but both Shorman and Allen have outstanding numbers. Shorman, like Thigpen, nursing a hamstring. He may not play this afternoon as well. The Chippewas of Central Michigan with a crack at the Big Ten, and the Iowa Hawkeyes back with the opening kickoff right after this.
Hang out with guys like us, right, Maestro?
Right.
Or you can watch them.
You stole my husband! You stole my lipstick.
Once again, there's guys like us, or there's them. So if you're not into Melrose Place, slap that remote in your hand.
Watch guys like us.
You stole my remote control. Come on, don't be a baby. I saw it first. Baby, come on.
Adults can be such children.
Guys Like Us, Mondays this fall on UPN.
Part of the pageantry as O2 UPN presents the 1998 Septemberfest Salute to Labor Parade. Live Monday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Only on O2 UPN.
Cloud USA, the preferred telecommunications choice of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And by United States Cellular, the way Hawkeyes talk around here. And welcome back to Kinnick Stadium. Hayden Fry almost ready to kick off his 20th season as the head Hawkeye. But before we do that, let's head downstairs with our buddy Rod Mackey. Rod?
Mike and Mike, thank you very much. The big story for the Hawkeyes defense. That's where the question mark should not be. It's their strength this season, bringing back guys like Matt Hughes and Jared DeVries. Injuries, though, already a problem for Iowa. Vernon Rollins, last year's starting linebacker, will not play this season. He's injured, is out. And Eric Thigpen, the only guy to return as a starter on the defensive backfield, will not play today either. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Rod. This crowd is almost out of their seats already as Hayden Fry, the all-time winningest coach in the history of Iowa football, watches his mysterious Hawkeyes, shall we say, Mike, because he said he can't wait to see if this is a good or bad football team.
Well, that's for sure, and I think as we talked already, there's a lot of unknowns out there for the Hawkeyes, and I think this is going to be a game where he hopes he can play a lot of the players just to see what they can do under fire, but there are a lot of inexperienced players out here that he would really love to get to know better.
Getting ready to put his foot into the football is number 7, Jason Baker. Just started kicking this year. He's the punter, of course, from a year ago. The deep man, Massey in France for Central Michigan, and this football game is underway. Myra, he's going to down that one at the back of the end zone, so Jason Peter definitely proving that he deserves to be the kickoff man for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Baker really hit that strong, and McLaughlin had been doing most of the kickoffs over the last year or so, but he's going to take care of the long field goals. But that's a great kick, and that's something the Hawkeyes haven't had for a long time, is that deep in the end zone. So
the Chippewas of Central Michigan going without the huddle, opening on the 20-yard line. Pete Shepard, the sophomore out of Mount Pleasant, at the quarterback. The man to watch, number 3, Silas Massey. He gets the call, and he's up across the 22, maybe the 23-yard line. Massey, an outstanding runner, 2 years in a row, sat out the 97 season, Mike, because of a bad knee.
Well, and the question now is how healthy can he stay, and there's no question about it. If he can stay healthy, he's a major factor for this Chippewa offense.
And checking the lineups, there you see Massey. Kind of surprising to see him on the kickoff team. And Reggie Allen, the all-time leader as far as receiving yardage for Central Michigan. Mike Sippa moves from left guard to center. That's the uncertainty around this college football team. Last year, Sippa played center, went through camp as the guard, and Shepard's first pass is overthrown, looking for Allen at about the 35-yard line.
Yeah, a little mixed up there. It looked like Allen came down and ran a curl-in pattern. It looked like the quarterback was looking for him to make that move and then go deep. But there's good coverage that time in the quarter by the Hawkeyes.
And the Iowa Hawkeye defense, Jared DeVries, All-American on just about everybody's list in the preseason. Of course, we talk about Hughes, but Raj Clark came on strong, filling in for Vernon Rollins last year. And there's basically all rookies in the secondary, with Thigpen, as Mike mentioned, sitting out with that hamstring. Big question mark in the secondary. Quick handoff. Massey tries to break to the outside, and he is stopped immediately at the line of scrimmage. And he is hauled down. It looked like Jeff Kramer making the initial contact.
Yeah, Jeff Kramer doing a good job on the outside. It's interesting to see how the Chippewas came out with their running game, 2 plays out of the 3, and both of those were away from Jared DeVries. So I got to believe they know right away that they're probably going to have to double team him on passes and keep the ball away from him in the running game.
So Jake Kemp in for his first punt, 3 and out for the Chippewas, standing at the 6-yard line. That's a low kick. Should be returned. Khalil Hill. Hill makes the break for the outside. He's across the midfield stripe. Nothing but green in front of Khalil Hill. Cuts back against the grain, and he takes it in for the Iowa Hawkeye touchdown. What a way to open up your college football career.
Boy, I'll say so. A freshman from Iowa City, Khalil Hill. And I tell you, he did a great job. 2 things. Number one, it looked like there's some confusion back there as to who's going to field the ball. But once he took it, he did a great job of dancing around, giving the blockers a chance to come back there and throw a few blocks in with some running ability besides. And you'll see it here. He made a couple great cutbacks, and he saw where his blockers are coming from. And wow, I'll tell you, that is a great way to get started. And right at the tail end, the punter's the only one that maybe had a shot at him, but he was able to juke him a couple different directions also. So wow, what a start.
1 year ago, the first play from scrimmage, a game you called, Mike, against Northern Iowa, Tavian Banks took it 63 yards for the touchdown. This is probably even a better way to open up the 98 campaign on the punt return, seeing Iowa led the nation in punt returns a year ago.
Well, that and there's just the excitement of the specialty team doing it too, Mike.
Zach Brownard in the kick. He struggled towards the end of last year, but he's now made 14 straight. The Iowa offense is yet to touch the football, but they open up a 7-0 lead over the Chippewas of Central Michigan. We're back after this.
Khalil's first game here as a freshman with Iowa as a punt returner. He replaces Tim Dwight, who is also a punt returner right down the street at Iowa City. We'll send it back to you.
Great point, Rod. As a matter of fact, Hill broke all of Tim Dwight's high school records as far as punt returning in high school. And Baker is impressing this crowd here this afternoon. Danny Myrick, for the second time, backs up to the back of the end zone, and once again, Central Michigan has 80 yards to go.
Yeah, so far it's the Iowa specialty teams leading the game because they haven't had any offensive exposure as of yet. 2 good kickoffs and a great punt return by Hill. And the Hawkeyes up by 7 points early in this game.
So Pete Shepard and the Chippewas with their second crack against these Hawkeyes. Last year, the Chippewas going 2-9. They opened up with a victory, then they went down to Gainesville and played the Florida Gators. Got beat 82-6. A lot of people feel that the Chippewas never rebounded from that thrashing by the Gators. Shepard, quick handoff. Massey again hits the line, nowhere to go. Hits the line of scrimmage at the 20, is pushed back. The forward progress will put the ball back at the 20-yard line.
Well, a lot of times that strategy, you want to get that offensive running game started before you want to do too much in passing. But I think already we've seen the strength of that up front line, and the linebackers of the Hawkeyes are going to be really tough on the Chippewas all day long.
Well, Mike, we mentioned Massey missing last year with a knee. his first year back in '96 as Pete Shepard completed over 50% of his passes last year. He backed up Tim Crowley. More on Massey in just a second. Second down right now, and 10 at the 20. Shepard goes upstairs and finds his man. Damon Pitt up across the 35-yard line. The first down for Central Michigan this afternoon.
Well, we knew that was going to be part of their game plan, major part of their game plan after testing the line a few times. But you know, Shepard has a good arm, as just pointed out. He's had over 50% completion last year, and that's the only way that they're going to be able to sustain any kind of offense against the Hawkeyes, is to mix it up, but primarily rely on that passing game.
Now getting back to number 3, Massey. His freshman year, he was the MAC Player of the Year. Then he rushed for 1,544 yards, number 1 in the MAC his sophomore year, then blew out his knee, trying to come back from knee surgery. Here's Massey again, left side, tries to get up to the 40, and he falls forward to possibly a gain of 1.5 on the play. Boy, Hayden Fry told me yesterday a lot of question marks even on the offensive and defensive fronts because of injuries. Guys have been dinged up, but Iowa certainly looking strong early on.
Yeah, for sure. And Matt Hughes isn't in the game. The big linebacker that we talked about before the game, Travis Centers, number 51, has replaced him, and it's understood that Hughes has just a little bit of a soreness in the leg and the back, and so they're not going to probably play him much, if any at all.
Second down and 9. Shepard back to pass, finds his man. Mark Sweck, the big tight end. Inside Iowa territory, dropped at about the 44-yard line. Coming up to make the play is Matt Stockdale, who starts at the left corner because Thigpen went out at safety, and they had to move Joe Slattery back over to the safety.
Yeah, and a nice play, too, with the crossing pattern with the tight end and the wingback receiver. And with that, really shook the big tight end loose and gets that ball, and a big gain for the Chippewas.
Gain of 24 on the play. His first completion to Pitt went for 19, so Shepard finding a groove right now against this young Iowa Hawkeye secondary. Last year, Central Michigan passed for 250 yards a game. They averaged 399, almost 400 yards a game, but the defense gave up way too much. Massey slides through a hole inside the 40, down to about the 39-yard line.
Well, Massey, he's that guy that gets up in that hole pretty quick. If they give him any running room, he could break something. But for right now, as we talked about, the front line and linebackers are doing an excellent job for the Hawkeyes. If they could start using their passing game, I think the Chippewas have that opportunity then to loosen it up a little bit more, and the running game might be effective later on.
Massey with 62 touchdowns in high school, over 3,400 yards. Second down, 6 yards to go at the 39-yard line. Twin receivers at the top of your screen, and Shepard wants to put it upstairs. Sweats with his second catch, knocked out of bounds, driven out of bounds actually, but the ball is complete, and it should be close to a first down.
Yeah, it sure looks like a first down, and there's another type of play, which is good strategy by the Chippewas, a little play action to keep those linebackers in there, and then it really loosens up that defensive secondary. Everybody's back there playing one-on-one, but there's a lot of extra room for them to run for that pattern. See that play action, and then the rollout, wide open receiver.
Raj Clark, number 44, really laid a helmet on him. He likes to hit. 96 tackles last year after filling in for Vernon Rollins. Another first down for the Chippewas at the 31. Flags all over the place. More than likely emotion on the offensive side. You look at Raj Clark, outstanding year for Iowa, but you really got a feel for Vernon Rollins. With Rollins and Matt Hughes last year, the Hawkeyes probably had the two of the best linebackers in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think for sure, especially as a pair. They might have been the best pair of linebackers in the Big Ten. And Rollins, he was excellent. He really put on a lot of weight, but he never lost any speed. He's really...
5-yard penalty. Still first down.
But he has the speed to go with that size, and it's really a shame that he blew his knee, and whether or not he comes back for one more year is unknown at this point, but it would be great to see him finish his career because he has great potential beyond college ranks.
I would hope the NCAA people take that into consideration. You hate to see a guy end his career with an injury, but you look at Raj Clark, 12 tackles in the Sun Bowl. So he's come on strong as well. Shepard swings it out to the left side. In the flat, it's Pitt. Pitt has some running room inside the 30-yard line. He's finally driven out of bounds by Tarek Holman. But Shepard's moving the chains in the air.
But that's a nice play, too. A little play action again with that quick toss to the outside. But give Joe Dana some credit out there. He does a good job of blocking the secondary person of the Hawkeyes, number 20. And that's a good job out helping this fellow player along. Stockdale was blocked.
Damon Pitt with 21 catches last year compared to the 147 that Shorman's caught in his career at Central Michigan, but he has 2 already this afternoon. Once again, Shepard upstairs, incomplete. Trapped by Reggie Allen at about the 22-yard line, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 7 at the 28.
Well, as we talked about the potential of the Chippewas going to the passing game, we've seen that obviously with this drive, but this is a great experience for the Hawkeyes. The unknown that we talked about in the secondary, I'm sure Hayden Fry is looking forward to the Chippewas coming out and really testing that secondary to just to let them know what they have to do to be, if they're going to be a solid defensive unit overall as the year goes on.
Twins at the bottom of your screen. Shepard had Sweats at the 19, overshot him. It looked like Sweats actually got tied up with the defender that time.
Matt Bowen, number 9 for the Hawkeyes, he was there and he bumped him a little bit. Looked at, you're right, just about the time the ball was thrown, but the officials saw it in favor of the Hawkeyes.
So Paul Savage will come on for the first time, the true freshman for Central Michigan. As a matter of fact, just a week ago, they weren't sure if he was going to be academically eligible, and they were really concerned. The left-footed kicker, they said, would really make an impact on this football team. Ball resting at the 36. It's a 46-yarder, and it's off to the left side. Paul Savage, the true freshman, misses on the 46-yard attempt, and we're going to take a break from Kinnick Field. With 9:52 to go in the opening period, it's 7-0, the Iowa Hawkeyes over CMU. You're watching college football from ESPN+.
Super Bowl 33.
Saturday at 10 on O2 UPN.
We're back in Kinnick Stadium. Mike Gleason along with the Iowa Hawkeye All-American Mike Riley. It's 7-0 Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes touching the football for the first time offensively this afternoon. Randy Reiners starting 4 games last year, 3-1 as a starter, but this is his football team this year. Quick handoff. It's Rob Tyne. Rob Tyne breaks to the outside. He's across the midfield stripe and dragged down by Sean Williams at the 47-yard line.
Well, that's interesting also because Rob Tyne, he's a great runner. He's a big power runner more than he is a sprinter. But what a great blocking scheme up front to give him a great running room. And as he got through there, he showed a little bit of speed. But there, when he breaks a tackle like that, you see that a lot with Rob Tyne. But what a great first play for him.
Rob Tyne making his first start, of course, when you have the likes of Cedric Shaw and Tavian Banks. Rob Tyne, Hayden Fry said he'd like to have about 11 guys that play football like him. Yamini, Khalil Hill, the 2 receivers trying to fill the voids. Derek Rose, the most experience on the offensive line. The offensive line opened up a huge hole in the opening play, and I don't know if Reiners got that time out in time. Did he, Mike?
Yeah, I think he did for sure. And there's a little mix-up there. He was trying to direct Hill into a position, but he couldn't get it done.
Hayden and Randy Reiners talking things over. We're going to take another break from Kinnick Stadium. 9:19 to go. A 62-yard punt return puts Iowa on top 7-0. Rob Tyne gets it for the second time. He's tripped up that time by a host of tacklers led by number 44, Jeremy Gold. You look at the Chippewa defensively. C.J. Remmel, he's got all the experience there at the defensive tackle. Linebackers, the 2 twins, Jeremy Gold and Jason Gold. Jason Gold, the second leading tackler. Jeremy had some knee problems last year. Their brother Ian, Gold playing at Michigan. Brian Ligib, the free safety, the only guy back from last year at his true position. Sean Williams played a corner. He is now playing safety along with Ligib in the secondary. 2nd and 10 at the 47-yard line. Reiners wants to put it up. Overshoots his man. That's Khalil Hill at the 40, covered by Wayne Dudley on the play.
And that's good coverage that time by the Chippewas. Hill came from the left side across the center of the field, and good coverage to Dudley. He was right there, but it looked like Randy Reiners really didn't get a chance to set up and throw the ball the way he wanted to, because they did come with some pressure up front against that Hawkeye offensive line.
And that's great news for Dick Flynn, because they gave up a bundle of points last year, and Dick Flynn said they gave up 290 yards passing, but they feel that maybe there wasn't enough pressure on the quarterback, and that's one of the things they wanted to do. Maybe sacrifice some size up front with some quickness and speed. 3rd and 10 now. Delayed draw. Tyne, he's going to be tripped up at the midfield stripe. So they're going to lose 3 on the play. And we should see the Iowa Hawkeye punting team for the first time this afternoon.
And that's interesting. Once again, they came with almost an 8-9 man line, really putting the pressure on up front and playing man for man out in the secondary. But you can see him coming with the linebackers, and with that from the outside safety blitz and all. I mean, that's what I'm sure they figure they have to disrupt that blocking scheme of the Hawkeyes if they're going to stop the running game as well as the passing game.
Jason Baker back at the 35-yard line. Damon Pitts standing at the 10 for Central Michigan. And Baker gets a lot of height on this football. Hits at about the 19, goes out of bounds. The Chippewas should start at about the 18 or 19-yard line. Jason Baker averaging about 41/8 on his punts last year. Boy, what a Sun Bowl he had, huh, Mike?
Yeah, for sure. And thinking of the Chippewas, though, in that defensive scheme or that defensive series, that ought to bring some excitement to that defensive unit to be able to stop. After the first play when Thine goes for all his yards, then all of a sudden, bang, 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 they stop him and force a punt. That's a lot of encouragement for that young defensive unit of the Chippewas.
Central Michigan with the football for the third time this afternoon. Number 3, Massey, nowhere to go. Number 94, Jared DeVries making the initial contact for the black and gold.
Well, there's a great example of what he can do, and obviously he's a big, strong, quick man in the up front, but he was able to take the offensive guard and tackle and just to eliminate him immediately and make that play.
Last season, 8 sacks for DeVries. He has 33, tied with Mike Wells. Hawkeye fans waiting with bated breath for DeVries to pick up a sack here this afternoon. 2nd and 11 from the 17-yard line. Shepard leaves the pocket, and it's incomplete. Looking for Damon Allen at about the 28-yard line. There's no doubt Chippewas having a tough time moving the football on the ground. They may have to throw against this young secondary.
I don't think there's any question. That's what they're going to have to settle in on, but they hope that occasionally they can loosen it up front. But the backside pursuit this time, and Jared DeVries, he was very close to making that sack that you just referred to, Mike.
So Pete Shepard, the 6'1", 200-pound sophomore quarterback out of Mount Pleasant, played 6 games last year behind Crawley, 50 of 93 for 548 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now facing another third down situation. 3rd and 11 from the 17 from the shotgun this time. Shepard, a lot of pressure. He completes the ball to Damon Allen at 25. He's down at the 26-yard line. Making the stop on the play, number 9, Matt Bowen for the Hawkeyes.
Well, there's going to be a coaching point you can bet on the sidelines with Matt Stockdale. He came over the top instead of going for that ball and through the receiver. He tried to get up there and pick it off, it looked like, and he missed it. Stockdale he went for the ball that time, thinking ball rather than making the play, and he almost gave up the first down.
Keep in mind, Khalil Hill already with a 63-yard punt return for a touchdown for Iowa. Jake Kemp gets the kick off. No penalty flags. Hits at the 49-yard line. And it's going to roll dead at about the 36-yard line of the Iowa Hawkeyes. 6:29 to go in the opening quarter here of the 1998 opener for both schools. It's 7-0 Iowa on a 63-yard punt return.
Well, as the offensive line comes out on the field, I know we talked briefly about that when we had him listed on the screen, but the biggest thing is to talk about the offensive line of the Hawkeyes is Derrick Rose is really the anchor against the center. He has the most experience. Chad Deals played quite a bit. Ben Zabisky, he's coming along great. He's going to be a good one before he finishes his career at Iowa. But basically, other than Rose and Deal, they're really somewhat inexperienced up front, so this is another good test for the Hawkeye offensive line.
Brian Leigheid coming up pretty quickly that time for the Chippewas from his safety spot on 1st and 10 from the 36.
And Liddell Betts was in there that time for Rob Thine, and there's another guy that the Hawkeyes really want to see a lot of today, just to see how he plays under game condition. He is a good back. He's got good size, good speed, and an excellent lateral movement. And I'm sure the coaches want to see some blocking for him to see what he can do when you're in the heat of battle.
That's a great point, Mike. Hayden said Betts will probably have to get on a motorcycle to catch Rob Thine, but I wouldn't doubt if Betts had more carries here this afternoon, because he was recruited heavily by a lot of schools coming out of high school in Missouri. A lot of pressure. Randy Reiners is going to go down, and that's something Central Michigan did not do a lot of. Penalty flag down at the 40-yard line in Central Michigan territory.
And once again, some good pressure from the Chippewas up front. They really came after Thine. There's a good block that time also by Liddell Betts to catch one of the linebackers as he came up the middle, but left to wait. And they are going to call pass interference, it looks like, against the Chippewas.
Tough break for Dick Flynn after putting pressure like that on Randy Reiners. That was way downfield at about the 40-yard line of CMU.
Those are always a tough one because you know he wasn't going to get the pass off, and just because of that holding penalty downfield, it's going to be a first down in most cases.
Well, Central Michigan, a lot like Iowa, making a lot of changes in the defensive secondary. We mentioned Brian Ligib, the only guy back at his true position. Let's listen for the call.
Holding on the defense. That's a 10-yard penalty. We're short of the first down. The down remains 2.
Well, second down, short of the first down, but not by a whole lot, Mr. Riley.
That's right.
I'm not even sure if you and your old Chicago Bears could stop this one.
Well, now, come on. We were pretty bad, but not that bad.
It's got to be second and about 6 inches, maybe. Maybe 8. I'll give you 8.
There we go.
So it's Betts and Berger lining up behind Reiners in the I formation. It's Betts, cuts back inside. He's got the first down. He's across the midfield stripe.
Well, one of the things we need to talk about, now there's a flag there for a little extracurricular activity in the field, and we'll have to see how they sort that out. But when we're talking about the running game of Iowa, the thing we can't miss talking about quite a bit, and that is a blocking to Michael Berger. He is a big, strong guy. He was a tight end. He's a great threat in the backfield because he does have good speed. He can go out and catch the ball. But beyond all that, I think he could go beyond this level and play some more football because he's an excellent blocker.
That's a 15-yard penalty.
Oh, Central Michigan starting to kill themselves now in the penalties. It's too bad, too, for Dick Flynn, a young Central Michigan football team, playing well defensively. Now, does Berger get to wear number 85 at the next level if he should play fullback?
Well, more than likely, I think he can.
I've got to give him credit, Mike. He comes in as a tight end. He thought he was going to be a basketball player in high school. Comes in as a tight end. They switch into fullback, and a lot of kids would have said, hey, give me any number you want. But he says, no, I want to stick with number 85.
That's the number he had through high school, I believe, as you said. And it's he's a great young man besides.
So the Hawkeyes now with a 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. Quick opener. Nothing open, though, for Berger. Initial contact made there by the middle linebacker, Jeremy Gold.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Hawkeyes do. I know they came out here with a certain game plan. They want to do certain things, and it really has a learning experience. But I tell you what, give the Chippewas a lot of credit. They're up there in the line of scrimmage with 8 guys, and they're really coming at him. And that time, Berger barely got the handoff before somebody had a shoulder on him. So I got to believe the Hawkeyes are going to adjust eventually and do a little play action, loosen that up, and keep those linebackers from shooting the way they are.
In Central Michigan, with Iowa today, they have 2 games, and then they play Michigan State. So 2 Big Ten teams on the schedule for the Chippewas, trying to rebuild from a 2-9 season. Reiners checking off at the line, 2nd and 12. A lot of pressure, the pocket collapsing, but it's complete to the fullback. And Berger is down to the 25-yard line. Tripped up by Jason Gold. If not for Gold, Mike, I think he might have taken that at least down inside the 10.
Oh, boy, he was on the way. That's right. He looked upfield and thought he was going to maybe get to the end zone, but a good job by Gold. But it's a good play. They delayed him coming out of the backfield, and just as he did, he was wide open in front of the linebackers. And, again, you mentioned Gold making a nice shoestring tackle to keep him a little bit short of the first down.
Good job of Reiners, and Berger with 5 catches last year, actually playing at a lighter weight. Last year played at about 230. Said he's about 220, 225 this year, moving quicker. Handoff. That's Betts trying to break to the outside, but Sean Williams coming up from his safety spot, and he makes the tackle for a 2-yard loss.
And a good play by the Chippewas one more time. They're coming up there tight, but that time Williams saw that going to the outside. He had the quickness and speed to get out to get Betts. Betts is, as we talked about, he's quick to the outside when he can make that quick outside move, but Williams is there to make a nice tackle.
Well, Hayden sending out the kicking team on a 4th and 3 at the 27-yard line.
And there's probably one of the most disappointing things so far in the game, that when the Hawkeyes are down there with 3rd down on less than a yard to go for a first down and they can't pick that up, those are the things, if you're going to be a contender in any league, you better be able to do that on a regular basis.
Here's a new name, number 17, Tim Douglas, out of Plano, Texas. Junior college transfer, the ball resting at the 35. So Douglas was about to try a 45-yard kick before the whistle. Last year, Zach Bromert was 3 of 7 from 40 to 49 yards out.
Yeah, the Hawkeyes had to delay a game there. They had 5 more yards in his field goal attempt to put it back just about at the 40. He placed at the 40-yard line for a 50-yard kick.
That's all that Tim Douglas sees. Just thanks, guys.
Exactly, yeah. My first kick. Come on, guys. Help me out here.
Ball resting at the 40. And this one's going to be off to the left, a little shot. So Tim Douglas's first attempt at a field goal. 50 yards out, wide to the left side, and the score remains a 7-0 Iowa over Central Michigan with 2 minutes and 21 seconds to go in the opening quarter.
Well, needless to say, you can write that off to some inexperience in the first game and the jitters, etc., to not be able to get that kick off in the designated time. But boy, those are the things that can kill you. If you don't correct those things right now, later on in the season, they're going to come up and bite you, and that really hurts.
Well, Mike, it's going to be interesting to see how long Iowa allows Central Michigan to remain in the football game. The longer, the better, of course, for Central. Massey with a cutback. He's across the 35 up to about the 37-yard line. Nice play by Massey. Number 11, it's Joe Slattery making the stop for the Hawkeyes. Let's bounce downstairs with Rod Mackey. Rod?
More injury news from the Iowa Hawkeyes, Mike and Mike. The leading tackler for the last 2 seasons, Matt Hughes, is out. He also will not play today. Trainer told me he had a leg injury, will not return. Back to you.
Wow, that's got to be tough for Hayden Fry and the coaching staff. Not only Matt Hughes, a Butkus candidate, Mike, but the fact that you want all your guys to play and see what you can do.
Well, that's it. Regardless who you're playing, you have to have that same group in there working together.
Gaddis pulled down by Ryan Bowen. I guess Ryan Bowen would be over playing basketball. I guess it'd be Matt Bowen.
I think that this is Matt. Yeah, Ryan has a lot of quickness, but not fight like that. You know, you made a good point too, Mike, about how long Iowa keep or let Chippewas be in the game. And I tell you what, the longer it goes, the more confidence that Chippewa team is showing, I think, as far as being able to move the ball, mixing up the offense. They know that they can attack that defense and get some yardage.
Well, Shepard has another first down. He wants to go upstairs again, and he completes it. Good coverage that time, but he completes it down to the 46-yard line. I think it's Damon Pitt who made the catch, and decent coverage. You can't fault the coverage in that one with Tarig Holman.
Not at all, but boy, I tell you again, that quick play action pass, you fake it into the line of scrimmage, you keep the linebackers tight, and then you pop it to the slant end from the far side. I mean, that's just good offensive strategy right now.
These two schools met back in 1994. They opened up the season here 52-21. Shepard, you see the numbers on him. Iowa won that game 52-21. The Hawkeye coaches yesterday, another penalty flag. Could be some movement down on the offensive line. It looked like possibly number 73. That's Doug Bonico, the veteran.
Well, it's not unusual. First game like this, you see a little ragtag, as far as the little pressure, the adrenaline flowing, and those types of things. But
ball start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
So the Chippewas continue to shoot themselves in the foot, but getting back to that score in 94, Mike, 52-21. Iowa, that was 7-7 ball game after one quarter. Coaches told me yesterday there's no way it's going to be a 52-21 ball game because of that young secondary. They were afraid that Shepard might start hitting some of these slant patterns, and that's exactly what he's doing this afternoon.
Well, it's good strategy on the part of the Chippewas at this stage of the game.
2nd and 9 for Shepard. Wants to go upstairs again. And it's picked off. No, it's dropped. Almost picked off by the Iowa Hawkeyes. Tarig Holman, the 6-foot, 195-pound junior out of Randolph, New Jersey.
Well, Holman's a new guy in there that he's going to look back to that and say, hey, the first time I get an opportunity, I don't get it done. But this is a pretty good play. If the ball was thrown out just a little bit further, that was going to be a big completion. But you can see that Holman was just able to get there, to get the hands of the ball, and then as he bobbled it around, he couldn't hang on to it.
You think of the old Penn State football teams where the quarterbacks were recruited in, turned into linebackers. You look at the Iowa secondary. When Bowen, Slattery, and Hansen are in, they have all three are all-state quarterbacks in the secondary now for Iowa. 3rd and 9 for Shepard. He's going to be throwing a lot of footballs, but this time he overshoots Reggie Allen down at the 30-yard line, bringing up another 4th down and kicking situation for Central Michigan.
And again, a timing issue there, I'm sure. Early in the season, looked like he wanted to throw it to the out, but the receiver, not reading the defense the same way the quarterback did. He made it an out and upcut and just threw the ball out of bounds.
Holman and Khalil Hill back deep for the Hawkeyes inside the 15. Jake Kemp, transfer from Hillsdale College. His brother kicked for the Chippewas back in '95. He gets the kick off barely. It's an end-over-end kick, hits at the 25. And France will down it at about the 5-yard line. So the Hawkeyes now have 95 yards of green lying in front of them.
Well, you might think Hill might have thought about taking that ball, but the best thing you can do, I think, is stay away from it and hope that it didn't roll that far deep into their territory. But this is going to be the challenge now for the Hawkeyes. I got to believe at this point the coaches are a little bit disappointed in the couple series that the Hawkeyes have had on offense, and they haven't been more consistent in moving that football, either by pass or by run. And those are the things that they're going to have to really work on. Now, when you're 95 yards away, that kind of disrupts your whole game plan that you set coming into the game. But at the same time, hey, this is a situation you're going to see during the season, so you better be able to know what to do and how to handle it.
Trevor Bowlers checks in at fullback now behind Reiners. Rob Tyne standing about 2 yards deep in the end zone. He gets the call, and he is hit hard at the 5-yard line. 2 or 3. Liggett came up. Williams came up, both from the safety spots, along with number 56, Gabe McMasters. Well, so far, Mike, the Central Michigan football team does not look like a football team that has given up 43 points a game last year. Well, 15 minutes have expired. First quarter's in the books. We're going to take a break. Head for the second quarter. The Iowa Hawkeyes up 7-2. Along with Mike Riley and Rod Mackey, and thanks for tuning in to the 1998 opener, watching ESPN regional television. The Hawkeyes with the only points on the board thanks to a 63-yard punt return by freshman Khalil Hill. Both teams in the first 15 minutes picking up 3 first downs, but probably Central Michigan, Mike, with more success in the passing game.
Oh, there's no question about it. And I have to think in the terms of the Hawkeye offensive strategy now. They're probably disappointed that they haven't been able to move that ball with any consistency in that first quarter. The Chippewas are coming up there, and they're playing really tough up in that front line, and that's where it's going to all have to happen for the Hawkeyes. They're going to have to be able to bust that loose and get the running game going, because Randy Reiners isn't the best thrower. He's a good guy if you got things running and rolling. He can roll out, throw the ball on the move, but just for setup passing, he's not the guy that they need.
Reiners throwing from his end zone, going for the home run ball. It's Hill, and it's off his fingertips at the 39-yard line.
And just as I say that, he throws a pretty darn good pass right there, so I'll take it back. But I don't think Randy Reiners is going to be throwing that many passes. I think he's going to be more of the little dump-off type passes, and the fact that he can run the football. He's a real exciting player from that standpoint, and I have to believe that the Hawkeyes want to maximize that effort during today's game.
Just off the outstretched fingertips of number 3, Khalil Hill. That'll bring up a 3rd and 10. Ball resting at the 5-yard line. You talk about Iowa quarterbacks. Boy, oh boy. There's been some impressive ones with Chuck Long and Vlasic, Hartley, Rogers. Matt Sherman. Matt Sherman started 33 games for the Hawkeyes, passing for over 6,300 yards. Single back. Reiner's going to put it upstairs. Some pressure. Puts it up and overshoots his man. No, what a great catch coming back.
Wow.
That would have been a great catch by Kevin Casper, but the officials say no, he trapped it on the ground. But that's what you want your receiver to do, come back to the football.
That's exactly right. And in that particular case, Randy Reiners did a good job of avoiding a few tacklers back in the backfield, and that's his forte, that he can move it around. But once he gets out there, he's able to throw it, and he takes a good hit at the same time, but almost a great catch.
So Jason Baker back to punt. His heels just at the back of the end zone. Damon Pitt standing at the 48-yard line. Nice spiral kick with some heights. Drives Pitt back to the 49. And he cuts back, runs into his own man. Damon Pitt tried to cut back against the grain, ran into number 6, Joe Dana, and they hit hard.
Joe Dana is going to get the hit of the day. Gee.
We're going to take a break. 14:38 to go in the half. 7-0 Iowa. You're watching college football from ESPN+. And then Trevor Bowlers puts the exclamation point on him. It's Central Michigan with their best field position to start for the afternoon. 1st and 10 from the Iowa 45-yard line. That's Allen in motion to the top of your screen. They'll try to keep it on the ground. And this time they pick up 2 or 3. Eric Flowers with the call. Flowers filling in last year for Silas Massey. Produced fairly well, actually. Put up 909 yards, 7 touchdowns.
And we also mentioned the fact that Matt Hughes is out of the game, and Travis Center's in there playing for him at linebacker.
Central Michigan, as we said, Mike, moving the football, moving the chains, 89-35. That can't sit too well with the Hayden Fry and his coaching staff. But the coaching staff yesterday, when I met with them, they said, hey, we're not blowing smoke. There's a lot of question marks around this football team, and we really don't know anything about this Central Michigan team. Shepard, pressure, tucks it up, tries to get to the 40, stopped just shy of the 40-yard line.
That's for sure, but it gives Shepard a lot of credit. I tell you what, right in his face was the big Jared DeVries coming from the left side of the defensive line, and he was there to put the big hit on, and it looked like he was going to swat the ball away just as Shepard wanted to throw it. You see it here. Watch him. He's right there. Bang. Shepard does a super job of getting away from that and then picking up a couple of yards.
Well, Shepard waiting last year patiently. His first start against Ball State, 27 of 42 for 251 yards in a 37-34 overtime loss to Ball State. Now this is his football team. His job to lose. From the shotgun formation, got Pitt out in the flat. Finds some running room. He is nailed. Boy, what a good hit. That's Bowen again. Matt Bowen coming up. And really put the numbers on him.
That's right. Bowen doing a good job, but Stockdale also. He was the first guy there that really grabbed him by the leg to stop him short of that first down and let Bowen come up, put the hit on to make sure that he didn't get it. But that's an interesting play also. I mean, that's a great play, as a matter of fact, from the Chippewas. They sent 2 guys down to occupy the 2 defenders, and then they just swing that swing back right out of the backfield. Great play, and they're going to go for it.
4th down. Probably less than a yard to go for the first down at the 36-yard line. Allen in motion to the bottom of your screen. Flowers. He's hit at the line of scrimmage, possibly shy of the first down. I don't think he got it.
Well, that's right. He's about half a yard shy. The way they marked it here right away. But boy, some good hitting in there by the Hawkeyes that time. The down lineman obviously doing a good job to stay low.
Your boy Stockdale again, Mike.
The Stockdale was there, came up, and Joe Slattery, I think, also was in there. But wow, that's a great defensive play by the Hawkeyes that time. So that's an encouragement factor for the Hawkeyes. But I tell you what, as we've talked a couple times here, I got to believe that offensive coaching staff is really looking hard at their playbook to say, hey, yeah, we know what we want to do and accomplish in this game, but right now it's at that point where we better start taking charge and how we're going to do that.
Classic case of the game won or lost in the trenches, right?
Absolutely,
there.
Absolutely.
So now the Hawkeyes with the football at the Central Michigan. Their own 36 make it. Pitch goes to Betts, and he is stopped at the 35. Probably a loss of a yard on the play.
Austin Wheatley in there at the tight end that time, and give the Chippewas a lot of credit one more time. I tell you, Betts has some speed to get to the outside, but those 2 defenders for the Chippewas were right there at the line of scrimmage and actually hold them to a 1-yard loss.
Got to credit to Central Michigan's defensive front, Mike, because actually I'm kind of surprised Reiners hasn't had more time to throw the football. You've got Reichel, Rose, Deal, 3 pretty experienced offensive linemen up front for Iowa. Again, Reiners nowhere to go. Gold all over. This time Reiners is going to tuck it up, and he's going to be dropped at about the 44-yard line. A penalty flag on the play.
Well, that's one of the things that Reiners can do and do very well, and that is to tuck that ball away and run with it. I don't think that was designed that way, but I think he saw that opening real quick to the left side, and there's a holding call against the Hawkeyes. So that will bring that one back.
Well, that ball was no sooner snapped to number 44, Jeremy Gold, the middle linebacker who missed most of last season with a knee injury, was all over Reiners, breathing down his neck.
And as you said, Mike, you got to give them a lot of credit up front, that front line for the Chippewas. But the other side of it is those linebackers are very active. And boy, they're shooting a lot of those gaps when they see run, when they see even some of the pass. So the pressure that they're putting on is, I think, fantastic for this early part of the game.
All fairness to the Iowa Hawkeyes defensively, you have Thigpen sitting out, as Mike pointed out, with the ham. See the numbers on Randy Reiners. Matt Hughes, the all-star linebacker, isn't playing, and they said if Jared DeVries has an Achilles, it's probably hot temperatures because he cramps up a lot.
We've seen that happen.
Reiners nowhere to go, and he is sacked I think McMasters will get the credit, but there were 3 Chippewas all over Reiners that time.
Well, there was, and I didn't get the number, but from the right side, the right defensive end for the Chippewas really came in strong and put a good hit on it. But the biggest thing is that he was overwhelming the offensive tackle for the Hawkeyes and did a great job of forcing Reiners to step up, but at the same time made the tackle. Great play.
So both ends, actually, McMasters and Walter Jenkins.
They met in the backfield.
So that'll force a 3rd down situation, 3rd and very long, 3rd and 24 from the 22-yard line. The Hawkeyes not having a lot of success moving the chains against Central Michigan. Back in '94, it was 7-7 after 1. Right now, it's 7-0 Iowa. Reiners goes back to work over the middle, and it's picked off. It's Gold with running room. Gold will take it all the way for the touchdown, and Central Michigan may tie the game, but penalty flags all over at about the 22-23-yard line.
Yeah, I tell you, they were all over his right, and they were coming in one right after the other. So I got to believe there's some kind of a personal foul situation as we see him unravel this.
Well, you go back to the first quarter, and the Chippewas with a couple of 15-yard penalties, shooting themselves in the foot. And now this is going to be a backbreaker if, indeed, this touchdown is nullified.
Yeah, that will be, but it looks like the Iowa, whoop, they're clipping, blocking below the waist on the return. Let's see if we can see it. Obviously, it's not a very good throw by Reiners. He threw right at the goal, the linebacker, but then you see a couple blocks off the back into the center of the field is where it happened.
We had 2 illegal blocks below the waist against the returning team. One is declined, the other's accepted. First down, Central Michigan.
Well, Central Michigan, they don't get the touchdown, but they get their best field position of the afternoon with 10:16 to go in the half. I think one of the guilty parties was a 3-year starter, Calvin Massenberg. 6 foot, 290 pounder. Well, if somebody hits you with a crackback block at 6 feet, 290 pounds, I saw him pleading his case with the officials. But nevertheless, it is called back. And the ball goes back to the 38-yard line.
You're right. It's one thing to get hit by him clean, but then the illegal part is, oh, my God. Wow.
Twins to the bottom of your screen. Allen in motion. Quick handoff, number 3. That's Silas Massey. Not a lot of success compared to his previous numbers of 2 years ago and 3 years ago. A gain of 1 on the play.
And Mike Dozel in there now, linebacker, playing for the Hawkeyes. So the Hawkeyes have substituted a lot of players, and this is what every team wants to be able to do in these early games, to play as many as you can. But it's getting pretty serious here, I would say, with almost 9 minutes and 45 seconds second quarter, the Hawkeyes have to take charge.
2 of the biggest concerns for Dick Flynn. The Shepherd wants to go upstairs again. He's going to go deep this time, and this one's picked off.
Matt Brown, defensive back from Glen Ellen, Illinois. I tell you what, you could see that coming. It was a nice out and up pattern that they ran. The Chippewas ran, and the ball wasn't throwing it quick enough to get down that seam. So the Hawkeye defender, he was right there, ready to pick that off.
So they definitely dodged the bullet that time.
Excuse me, that's Matt Bowen. I'm sorry, yeah, Matt Bowen from Glen Ellen.
Matt Bowen with his first pick of '98. He had 2 interceptions and a touchdown last year. The Iowa Hawkeyes with 22 interceptions last year. There you see the numbers, ranked 3rd in the NCAA. So now the ball resting at the 15. The Hawkeyes dodging the bullet that time. The pitch, time, wide side, gets some running room this time, up across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Boy, you've got to put yourself, you've been down on the sidelines before, of course. The Central Michigan Chippewas playing in the Big Ten. They have a touchdown nullified, and then the pick. That's got to be just devastating for them at this point.
Well, it has to be, but there's also got to be some encouragement just where the game is on their behalf. The fact that they're really in this football game, and they know that if they just stay with it, they're going to make some big plays like that. That, hey, they could really flip this thing around real quickly and put the real pressure on the Hawkeyes.
Well, the Hawkeyes led the Big Ten a year ago in rushing and scoring. Penalty flags all over. Movement down on the trenches. The Hawkeyes seem to be clapping.
You know, something.
Prior to the snap.
Excuse me, Mike, but
Ball
something that you.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Some of the thoughts, though, that you hear around Iowa in particular about Central Michigan is, yeah, it's one of those teams that you expect to win, expect to beat, and get a lot of players in the field. A lot of people forget, even though it wasn't Dick Flynn's time, that I tell you, Central Michigan knocked off Michigan State the opening game 2 consecutive years, about 5 or 6 years ago.
That's right. Tyne gets the call. He spins across the 17-yard line, close to the 18, but it's going to bring up a third down situation, third and about 7 for the Iowa Hawkeyes. You mentioned the fact the Hawkeyes leading the Big Ten a year ago in rushing offense and scoring offense, but they have not been moving the chains here this afternoon against Central Michigan.
And the reason is, which we've talked about so many times, is you lose some of those top players, Octavian Bankston and Tim Dwight and a lot of other players. Well, I tell you, it's tough to come back and rebuild, but you got to just take your time and work through it in these early games.
It's a good point. I was interested to see Khalil Hill as a receiver along with the Boucher Yamini. The penalty flags blanket the field this time. Reiners was going to roll out. Looked like he was looking for Yamini that time, but penalty flag stopped the play. The Hawkeyes 0 for 3 in third down situations.
Well, I'd say, yeah, one of the things about the Chippewas now, they're in great pursuit and they're getting across the line of scrimmage, but you can see that ball, wherever that ball is, there's a lot of people around it making the play, and a guy like Tyne, he likes to hit and pick up that extra yardage, so they know they got to be there to put the second and third hit on him to keep him from doing just that.
Bill, how you doing? Good. No problem.
Randy Reiners 0 for 3 third down situations, 3rd for 12. This is his job to lose. It's going to be interesting to see if he doesn't move the chains, if we see a Kyle McCann or a Scott Mullen. Reiners leads the pocket. He's been pressured all afternoon. He completes the ball up across the 20-yard line. And that's the freshman Khalil Hill with his first catch.
Yeah, they're going to be 4 yards short of the first down, so on comes the kicking team. But there's an example where Randy Reiners, I think, can excel. He can roll that out like that. He can throw on the run. And obviously, he has the ability to turn it upfield if he has to. But here's a good example with a little square out pattern by Hill on the near sideline. He was there, not enough for the first down, but those are the types of plays that I think can be effective with Reiners at quarterback.
How much a freshman mistake, Hill not knowing where the chains were, where the first down marker was?
That's a good point, because when you get a young guy in there, you got to be able to read that. At the same time, I think there's certain yardage that they try and set up.
Well, the ball is down to just inside the 35-yard line. 7:30 to go in the half. It's 7-0 Iowa. Down close to the 33-yard line. Silas Massey yet to break one. Massey coming back from knee surgery.
Well, on the defensive side of the ball, they still have Jared DeVries in there, but they're really pushing a lot of people in and out. But here's a little draw play, sprint draw, you can call that, but it's a pretty good pursuit on the part of the Hawkeyes to come back and make that play. But good blocking up front also by the Chippewas.
2 years ago, Massey with 4 200-yard games. Central Michigan 0 for 5. Third down situation. Shepard goes upstairs, throws it shy. Reggie Allen's going to trap the football, and it's going to be 4th down for CMU.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. No third down conversions today. And, boy, I tell you what, I know it's early in the season, but this stage of the game, you ought to have at least 1 or 2 someplace out there in that field. So it's a real learning process, as we've talked about so often here. But at the same time, it's time that either side of the ball, now, Hawkeyes are Chippewas, they have to eliminate mistakes and start capitalizing on some of the things that they have in front of them.
Well, we'll see if Kemp can place the football as well as Bowman. He's been averaging 42 yards a kick. This one hits inside the 5. Goes into the end zone. It's coming back to the 20 for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and we're coming back after this. 6:05 to go. 7-0 Iowa. You're watching college football from ESPN+.
You want sports? You've come to the source. I'm talking the machine. I've got the hit.
On to win the Mid-American Conference Championship. And right now they trail the Hawkeyes by only 7. Here's a reverse. And it's going to be Khalil Hill, the freshman, trying to cut it back against the grain. He's got some running room right now, and he's dropped at about the 25-yard line. So a lot of running to pick up 5 yards.
Well, there's the first Hayden Fry exotic, as he likes to call it, that we've seen so far. But I'll tell you what, give Jonathan McCall, defensive tackle for the Chippewas, great credit. He saw that come in, and he came across the line of scrimmage, and he read that all the way. Instead of going in quick pursuit, he saw it. And there you see, he forced Hill to the outside, and that gave everybody a chance to react to the end around and make a good play for only 5 yards.
Well, Hayden Fry said a lot of crazy stuff maybe this afternoon because they simply have to. Looking for Yamini up near the 40-yard line. He overshoots his man.
Well, and with that, the reason he overshot him actually is Wayne Dudley, the cornerback for the Chippewas over there, really putting a lot of pressure on him off the line of scrimmage, and he couldn't get out and around the way he wanted to.
The numbers on the two quarterbacks here this afternoon favoring Shepherd of Central Michigan. It's a good point on those corners. Central Michigan playing some pretty good football with two redshirt freshmen on the corners, and Dudley and Tadaro France.
And they both look like they have some pretty good speed, though. So when you have that speed, you can jump right up on those receivers and play a man for man. And boy, that does so many things for the middle of the line and linebackers.
Timeout on the field. Reiners is going to talk things over with Hayden Fry right now. Up 7-0, 5:20 to go. We're back right after this. For Iowa and Central Michigan, 7-0, 5:20 to go. I didn't know what to expect, Mike, but neither team in the red zone here this afternoon yet.
Excuse me, go ahead.
Iowa facing another third down situation. This time he overshoots his man at about the 33-yard line. Liddell Betts coming out of the backfield, forcing another kicking situation for Iowa.
Well, and that's right. Neither one being able to move the ball to any consistency, but at the same time, I think Chippewa is showing some offensive strength. They have just about 100 yards total offense as compared to Iowa's 50, and there's a good example of what's happening. Hawkeye just can't complete anything. Roll out that time to the back coming out of the backfield, couldn't get it to him. Good coverage by the Chippewas.
Coming up, Big Ten season preview, scores and highlights, and our stats for the first 30 minutes of football here from Kinnick Stadium. For those of you following the Roger Maris chase, Mark McGuire has just hit his 60th. I didn't think you'd get to 60 this quickly, Mike. Fair catch called for at the 41-yard line. That's Damon Pitt. So Central Michigan, the last two possessions starting in Iowa territory. This time they'll start at the 42-yard line of the Chippewas.
Yeah, just speaking of McGuire, though, as I said when we were on the break there, I think once he hits that 62nd one, he's liable to hit 80 before the season's over.
Yeah, I forgot where I read this, but a great point yesterday, I think in USA Today. What if McGuire hits 62, and then what if Sammy Sosa passes McGuire and winds up with like 66? Who gets all the accolades then? Obviously McGuire would get it initially, but who has the staying power?
That's right, exactly.
That's a good question.
Good point. You bet.
Central Michigan trying to prove they can hang with the big boys. Silas Massey still looking for some running room, and he is hit by Holman at the 40-yard line, and he was lucky to get up to the 41. You mentioned 4 200 games 2 years ago, a lot like Toledo's wash was Sean Tate. Tate also going out with a knee injury. Massey went out last year with a knee injury. He has yet to find some running room against this Hawkeye defense.
We sure shows signs, though, that he can do it. I tell you have to give the Hawkeyes credit that time. They strung that out very nicely, and they played it exactly the way you wanted. String it out, let the defensive back Holman come up and make the play, the line of scrimmage.
Shepherd, three-step, complete and dropped. Damon Pitt had the football. He was hit by Holman. He was into Iowa territory, and he couldn't hold on.
And that's the play that the Chippewas have had a little success with. A little play action, pop up, slant in like that. But that time Holman did a good job, and you'll see it right here. The good pass, it looked like it should be completed, but Holman was right there putting the hit on just as the ball got to him.
Another third down for CMU, 3rd and 10. 41 this time from the shotgun formation. Twins to the top of your screen. Shepherd doesn't even look that way. Looking for Pitt on the left side, but it's batted down at the line by Iowa. I'm not sure if it was DeVries or not.
I think it was Ed Sadet, excuse me. He was there. He's a guy who anytime those linemen touch the ball, they think they died and went to heaven. They throw their arms up, but I mean, he was doing the celebrating, so I'm sure he's the guy that hit the ball.
Well, the 6'7", 270-pounder out of Alsip, Illinois, got the crowd to its feet, and it's been a while since this Hawkeye crowd has been up. There's the punt. It's a low one, and coming up quickly is Holman, doing a nice job to hold on to the football. He's dropped at the 22-yard line.
A little bit dangerous, but that's a great play on his part. The fact that he did come up and field that ball, not let it bounce around like I think the last punt went out down to the 5-yard line and put the offense in the hole. This time they got some breathing room and should be able to put their offense in gear.
We checked the Iowa sideline there just a couple of seconds ago. Reminds me of yesterday. A lot of people thought maybe Hayden, he can be a jokester too. Thought he was blowing some smoke. He knew he had some holes to fill, but he really didn't know. He doesn't know if this team can catch fire, or as he put it, will lay an egg. Right now they lead 7-0, but only thanks to a 63-yard punt return by the freshman Khalil Hill. That's Hill in motion now to the bottom of your screen. And Tyne is going to throw back to Reiners. He completes it. Reiners dumped at the 35. Just shy of the first down. A little razzle-dazzle.
Wow. I think that egg's been laid. No, there's a great play, but another one of the exotics. That's a throwback to the quarterback, and the Hawkeyes have used that a number of times in the past. But I tell you, again, the pressure coming up that you're going to see here, they put some pressure on Rod Tyne real quick that he can't get set to throw the ball, so he throws the wounded duck back across the field. And Reiners was able to get it for a nice gain, but I tell you, it wasn't real pretty.
I got to tell you, Mike, as a freshman, he was 1 for 1 in passing. Tyne was. As a sophomore, he was 1 for 1, and now as a junior, he's 1 for 1. He's a perfect 3 for 3. Maybe he should play quarterback here. Nowhere to go. That is McMaster hitting Reiners from the blind side, and Reiners will walk back and have a talk with his left tackle.
Well, that's for sure, and I think the rest of the offensive line, very honestly, there's a couple people with some seniority in that offensive line. But the rest of the guys really have to come around. But overall, I think the Chippewas are just playing good pressure defense that this offensive line hasn't been able to handle. There's a case any one of 3 people could have sacked Reiners in that play.
It's got to be encouraging for Dick Flynn. Flynn, 16 years the defensive coordinator for Herb Duramity at Central Michigan. Back when they had their glory years. And they were quick, aggressive football players. That's what they were hoping to get back to here in 1998. Reiners. This time from the pocket, looking for Betts, and he has it at the 47. And Betts is pushed out of bounds at about the 37-yard line of Central Michigan.
Good example that time of execution by the Hawkeyes. It was just a down and up pattern that would break that seam, and Randy Reiners reading it 100%. He saw him just as he made the break. He threw the ball right down the seam, and the receiver was there. Good stride, picked it off nicely, and that's biggest gain of today for the Hawkeyes.
34 yards on the play. Of course, their first play from scrimmage went for 25, and then they've stagnated since then. Nice catch by Betts, the fingertip grab.
And that's encouraging, too. A young guy like that coming out of the backfield that can catch the football. That can add a lot of extra dimension to that offensive strategy.
That's the USA Today former Missouri Player of the Year. Second man through is Betts. He is stopped at the 40. McMaster there to make the stop along with number 33. That's Calvin Massenberg.
Well, I know there's a lot of work to be done in that offensive line, and we're not going to overplay it, but I'll tell you what, when you can see that kind of penetration against your offensive line, there's a lot of work to be done. And I know that you mentioned the quickness, Mike, which is important because they are a lot quicker, it looks like, at this point anyway.
Let's check in with Rod Mackey. Rod, what do you got?
You guys talking about the offensive line. Keep in mind, everyone talks about losing Tim and Tavian last season. 2 men from the offensive line gone as well. Jeremy McKinney and Mike Goff, who's now playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. Back to you.
Great point, Rod. Iowa, 9 players starting for the first time, 7 on offense, either starting or starting a new position. Reiners rolls left, has Hill open, and he catches it, but was it out of bounds? Yes, it was. Hill had his man beaten by at least 2 or 3 yards, but the ball took a little bit too long to get there.
Well, a little too long, and a little bit of a floater, too, because Hill had the man beat it, and I think what he wanted to do is throw it deep into the end zone, and Hill did a good job of stopping and coming back and almost making a great catch in the sideline, but he had his man. If it was a good pass deep, it was a touchdown.
Khalil Hill, the freshman, he missed spring ball because of a shoulder injury, and they said he hasn't missed a beat. This guy's going to be a good one.
Yeah. And you couldn't see it there, but he ran a great out and up pattern that had the cornerback stymied, and it was just a matter of getting the ball to him.
Another third down for the Hawkeyes. 3rd and 11 at the 40-yard line. Single setback. Reiners stripped of the football. That should be a live ball. And it's jumped on by Joe Adam. And Central Michigan's heading back the other way.
Well, that's a big break for the Chippewas, but one more time, they're coming, boy. I tell you, they're really coming from both sides up the middle, and from the right side or left, Reiner's left side actually. Wow. He came in there with a lot of speed, and that touched it all. So
that time Ralph Sewell, the outside linebacker, came in.
See, that's what they're doing. They're running the linebackers from the outside. They've run the strong safety a couple times from the backfield, defensive backfield. So they've made up their mind. They're going to keep that pressure on that Hawkeye offensive line and offense in total.
And talking about revamping their defense, Sewell last year played strong safety.
And 2 turnovers for the Hawkeyes. And I tell you what, when you can't control that football, you're in trouble.
Well, Dick Flynn and his Chippewas with 1:47 to work with. Sweats, the tight end, in motion to the top of your screen. Shepard goes upstairs, and he overshoots Sweats at the 30-yard line. Good coverage by Iowa that time. You talk about Iowa missing some receivers. Central Michigan had a tight end, Adam Simonson, 6'5", 250. He would have been a 4-year starter. He was all MAC 2 years ago. Last January, diagnosed with leukemia. So we certainly wish Adam the best. He's back home recuperating.
Boy, that's for sure.
But that's a big blow to the offense when you lose a 4-year starter.
Yeah, that's for sure. And looking at the Hawkeyes on that particular play, Holman is a guy that, he's a new guy to the backfield, defensive backfield. He hasn't been a starter. But I tell you, he's played a pretty good game. He had good coverage that time on the Chippewa receiver.
2nd and 2. Shepard's going to keep it this time, and he's dropped immediately. It's Ed Sadot again. Sadot playing with injuries last year, so that's 2 possessions now that he's come up with a big defensive play.
Yeah, he looks like he has some quickness out there, and the fact that he hasn't had much playing time, it's good to see him coming around like this.
Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes are going to use up one of their timeouts. We're going to keep it right here at Kinnick Stadium. 7-0, 1:30 to go. 90 seconds before halftime here in Iowa City. The Hawkeyes coming off a 7-5 season. And a season that they'll all admit very disappointing. They were about 8 points away from 3 victories on the road. They could have finished up 10-2. Also coming up at halftime, the Big Ten season preview. Top 25 in Big Ten scores and stats and highlights. A lot of big games around the country to talk about, of course. Coming up at 3:30, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, ranked #1 in the country, playing in Morgantown against West Virginia. And right now, Hayden Fry has other things on his mind, opening his 20th season as the head coach here in Iowa.
And as you mentioned, Mike, coming off of last year with a pretty good season, 7-5, but a disappointing season because of the potential of that team. And a lot of people in Iowa thought that the material in that team probably equaled the 1985 material when Chuck Long was the quarterback and they went to the Rose Bowl. They thought they were very comparable players. Ronnie Harmon and the Tim Dwight, those types of things. But boy, they just didn't come around. And the thing you never know, though, but you find out later on, is there was a lot of those players really gimped around and playing hurt last year that you never expected. But the fact that they were playing hurt, they just didn't maximize their effectiveness.
Look at Hayden Fry's 3 Rose Bowls. Only Michigan in recent years have gone to the Rose Bowl more than once. I mean, John Cooper with those great Buckeye teams. Pasadena bound only once.
And there's a good swing pattern by the Chippewas. They've run that play a couple times. But I tell you what, if you look at the play, the Chippewas are right on the verge of being called for blocking downfield. What they do is they send the receivers or 2 wide receivers down to block or at least screen off the 2 defenders, and then they swing it to the back coming out of the backfield. And the fact that it is a forward pass, you can't block downfield, but it's really close.
Now number 17, Jake Kemp. Brother Alex kicked for this team in '95. Kemp getting a lot of work here this afternoon. Gets another one off, and the fair catch called for back at the 10-yard line. That's the freshman Khalil Hill. So the Iowa Hawkeyes have 1:18 to go, 35 yards on the kick, and they're 90 yards or maybe 89 yards away from pay dirt. Something they have not seen except for that big punt return by the freshman Hill.
And you know, Mike, we haven't talked about the weather necessarily, other than it's a beautiful day. But the thing that we should talk about is that last pass of Reiner's that we said that it could have been, should have been. But you look up at the top, and I tell you, there's a pretty good breeze coming from the south right now. And if you're not throwing that perfect spiral into the breeze, it's going to have a major effect on it. So the Hawkeyes here with the 1:18 to go, they have a long way to go into a pretty stiff wind at this point.
Well, it's a great point, too, because Hill definitely had his man beat on that play. And you wonder with Central Michigan playing such intense football defensively if they're going to tire out here in the second half. They will go at the blitz again, and Reiners will not get the football off. It looked like he was going to tuck it up and pick up some yardage, and all of a sudden that hole closed, and it closed very quickly.
It sure did, and I'd give the Chippewas a lot of credit once again. They're out there, as we talked about earlier, with some good speed at the corner positions, but all the way across the secondary, and they're running with those Hawkeyes man for man. So that's given the Chippewas all the chance in the world to put the pressure on up front, and they've done it time after time after time.
You know, Mike, you point out to Central Michigan giving them 43.5 points a game last year. You've got guys like Calvin Massenberg, a 3-year starter. Jonathan McCall started the last 2 years. They're both number 2 on the depth chart at their position this year. That's got to be hard to take, but it says something about the talent level at Central Michigan. Maybe they've stepped it up this year.
Absolutely.
Reiners, incomplete. Boy, what a great catch. They're going to call it a catch.
Oh, wow.
At about the 21-yard line. That's the freshman Khalil Hill. If that name sounds familiar, yes, he is the son of J.D. Hill, the former NFL star.
We're going to see this, and it's going to be a real question mark, I think, whether or not he had total control of that ball as he stepped out of bounds. But obviously the camera has it perfect, and it is a completion.
Oh, beautiful catch. It's awfully close, but a beautiful catch as we take our second look at it. A little juggling act as he goes out just across the 20-yard line.
Yep.
And they're going to measure for the first down. Picked up about 12 and a half, needed 13 on the play.
And there's a lot of encouragement with a play like that. Again, you see Reiners when he rolls out, he's probably a little more effective. But I mean, that's a great play. That play, by the way, Mike, maybe you didn't see a lot of the games back when I mentioned the 85, but Chuck Long was very good at that. He could roll out, and boy, they ran that square out pattern, and that's a beauty because that sets up that out and up a lot of times, and you'd see Ronnie Harmon make that break and go for a touchdown. So you know, those types of things, it's a great part of your game plan, and Reiners can execute it well.
Boy, Chuck Long, believed to be the only college football player to play in 5 different bowl games.
Exactly.
Not too many guys get a chance to do that. Chuck Long actually coaching the quarterbacks here at Iowa for the first time. A little coaching shuffle. Offensive coordinator Don Patterson with the tight ends and wide receivers used to coach the quarterbacks.
And I'd love to be the guy standing kind of behind the fence and just see how Chuck runs that rollout now when he's trying to show Randy Ryan. Here's how I used to do it. I got to believe Chuck could still do it.
I saw him in the office yesterday. Certainly looks like he could do it still.
Yep.
Twin receivers at the top of your screen this time with 28 seconds to go. Looks like the Hawkeyes are going to air it out. Heavy pressure. Reiners. A time against his side, but he'll tuck it up, and he gets up to the 25-yard line before he's driven out of bounds by Brian Ligib. So they moved everybody to the top of your screen to the far side of the field, but Reiners again had no time because Central Michigan was coming.
And that's the thing that just amazes me, I guess, at this point. But boy, I'm not taking anything away from the Chippewas. They came with a good game plan of pressure, and they're executing it very, very well against what I would think should be an offensive line that could handle it.
3rd and 1 last year. The Hawkeyes converting 37% of the time. This afternoon, struggling somewhat. Reiners straight drop. And overshoots his man at the 35. That's number 5, Bashir Yamini. So with 16 seconds to go in the half, that's going to bring up a kicking situation, I would think, for Iowa.
And that might be the first or second time we talked about Yamini, but there's one of the track guys off of the Iowa track team that came out for football. That, boy, you talk about speed, they have it from that standpoint. But it's going to be interesting to see how well they can run the patterns and get the ball to him will be the critical part.
I stand corrected. Hill with that great catch did pick up the first down. So now they moved the change. It's 2nd down and 10 with 16 seconds to go. Hill at the top of your screen, split wide, and Reiners drops the football. He and Berger are there to cover it up, but that certainly doesn't help the situation as time continues to tick. 8 seconds to go before the half hits.
And I got to believe you're seeing it happen. They're going to let the clock run down and say, let's go inside and talk about this and see what we need to do to come out the second half.
So once again, Central Michigan coming off a 2-9 season. They failed to get into the red zone, but the Iowa Hawkeyes failed to do so likewise. A 63-yard punt return by the freshman Khalil Hill is all the scoring for 30 minutes of football here in Iowa City this afternoon. The Iowa Hawkeyes 7-0 over Central Michigan. And we hope to throw it downstairs to Rod Mackey.
Here we go, Coach, right here.
Rod, take it away.
Okay, thanks, guys. Well, Coach, you got your first half look at the mystery team. I imagine you're not too pleased so far.
Well, I think it verified what I've been saying all along, the weaknesses that we have, and now we got to, really improve the second half. Thank goodness our defense is playing well. We got the touchdown on the punt return, but we knew we were going to have problems, and what we got to do, we're making some problems, though we haven't been making in practice, and they're doing a good job on defense, and Central Michigan's doing a good job, so we'll get it straightened out and be better the second half.
Okay, Coach, thanks a lot for coming out. That is Iowa coach Hayden Fry. Once again, the defense hasn't allowed a single point, and that's where all the injuries have been. The offense struggling, as Coach Fry said. We'll see what happens in the second half. Mike, back to you.
All right, Rod, thanks a lot. Keep in mind, Mike, the Central Michigan Chippewas have not been shut out since 1982. Interesting to see what happens in the second 30 minutes. We're back at Kinnick Stadium after this. The Iowa Hawkeyes at about the 5-yard line. And Cooper puts the foot into it, and the second half is underway. And Hill takes it at the 11-yard line. Hill waits for his wedge. Hill has some running room. Khalil Hill with a punt return. And now the kickoff return for the touchdown. 89 yards this time for the freshman Khalil Hill.
That is amazing. I think he's excited, and again, specialty team performance. Wow, what a run back.
Mike, the way he waited for that wedge to form, it seemed like such an experienced veteran.
And that's the key to the return. You're 100% right, Mike, that, hey, he stepped up in there, and he knew where the blocks are coming from, and he waited till they did their cross. They opened it up, and then he had the speed to accelerate and get up through there. And then with the blazing speed, he outran everybody to the end zone. So you can see it there. He waited for the opening, and off he went.
A backbreaker for Dick Flynn and the Chippewas. Bromert in to kick. He has now kicked 15 straight conversions. And the Iowa Hawkeyes, thanks to the freshman, J.D. Hill's son, they've opened up a 2-touchdown lead on the Chippewas, 14-0. You're watching college football from ESPN+.
Back after this.
Coming Fridays this fall on O2 UPN.
Hi, everybody. Pat O'Brien here. Check out the Sporting News Pro Football Preview Special for an inside look at the upcoming season. We'll talk with Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Cordell Stewart, and many others around the NFL. We'll also tell you who's going to the playoffs and who's going home early. We'll answer all those questions, and we've got our own ideas about Super Bowl 33.
So Mr. Hill has really impressed a few folks in Kinnick Stadium here today.
It's amazing throughout the course of a football season how many times you hear the coach say games can be won or lost with the special teams and the fans and broadcasters who say, yeah, you hear that over and over again, but how true it is. Hayden Fry said with all the new faces here this year, they have to try something different offensively. They really haven't yet, but the special teams have been superb. And Baker kicks it out of the end zone this time. And he is really putting his foot into the football here for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Well, there's a case, too, 3 for 3. He's kicked it beyond any return possibility, and that's exactly what you just said, Mike. There's so much importance on that to keep the game in control and not let them make a big play on the specialty team.
So once again, the Chippewas of Central Michigan will have 80 yards in front of them, starting at the 20-yard line. Pete Shepard, a week ago watching Central scrimmage up in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, there was word that either Shepard and Lougheed or both would play. And so far, Shepard's been the man for the Chippewas. Massey almost had an opening at the 20, skirts out to the 21, maybe the 22 at best. Getting back to Khalil Hill, the 63-yard punt return and the 89-yard kickoff return. He has 152 yards in return yardage here this afternoon for Hayden Fry. Let's check downstairs with Rod Mackey. What do you got, Rod?
Well, some good news for the Hawkeyes besides the play with Khalil Hill. Jared DeVries still in there. He's had problems cramping in years past with the heat. That is not a problem today. Back to you guys.
It was, of course, with Matt Hughes not playing. Shepard wants to go upstairs right away. Had his man. And his man was Damon Pitts. Got tangled up at about the 42-yard line, and then the ball was overshot at about the 45.
And when you mentioned DeVries, it's one of those things when you You know, he's one of the best in the country, and you know darn well when they see him over there, they know they have to give one guy help. You know, one guy just can't handle him. So in that case, you just saw 3 of them banging at DeVries to keep him away from the quarterback.
I like about DeVries is he said the personal accolades really sincerely mean nothing to him as long as they win the football game. He said after that Michigan loss last year up in Ann Arbor, there's DeVries looking to become the all-time sack leader. And there's some movement on the Central Michigan line, so it's going to go back the other way. But DeVries said he sat in that Michigan locker room, didn't even want to peel off his uniform. He felt so devastated after losing that game and leading Michigan by 14 at the break.
Now there's a good example, even though it was an illegal procedure on the part of the Chippewas, but that just showed the quickness of DeVries and how he reads so well the snap of the ball, the movement of the offensive line, and he's so quick across the line of scrimmage at his size. I mean, that's just overwhelming.
You know, it's amazing, too. He came here weighing about 218 pounds.
Oh, yeah. And they beefed him up real quickly and put a lot of good strength along with it.
Now he tips the scales at about 284, 285. That's where the NFL scouts would like him to be at. Well, they were going to try the little draw that time with Silas Massey, or at least I believe. But the play went awry from the get-go, and it's going to bring up a kicking situation deep in their own territory for Central Michigan.
Yeah, that was one of those turn the wrong way, and the quarterback ran into the defensive back. But guess who was right there to make sure they weren't going to go anyplace anyway? It was DeVries one more time.
So Jake Kemp getting a chance to kick in a Big Ten stadium and getting a chance with a lot of PT here this afternoon. Another kick, his first in the second half. Standing inside his 5. Nice spiral kick. This one will drive Hill back into the 35. But again, he's got some running room. Across the midfield stripe to the 40. And he's dropped at about the 41. Khalil Hill with 152 yards on returns adds 50 more. And we're going to take a break from Kinnick Stadium. 13-14 to go in the third quarter. 14-0 Iowa over CMU.
I'm about to take a crash course in history.
The president and vice president were slain 2 days ago.
7-day crash course.
We're going to undo that event.
We have a device that can allow us to send one human being back in time 7 days.
I don't mind the subject. It's the crashing part I'm not really crazy about.
Seven Days. Wednesdays this fall on the United Paramount Network.
Back in Kinnick Stadium, thanks to the special teams play, it's 14-0 now, and here once again Khalil Hill.
Well, it does a great job once again of following his block, but watch his block by Hansen. Oh boy, he really did a crackback block to give Hill about 10 to 15 more yards, and whew, that's tough football there.
That definitely can be the difference in breaking one. Hill with a 24-yard return. Kemp got the 50-yard punt off. Betts with the call. He's piled up at the 40. Forward progress. Penalty flags back down on the field. Seemed like it was after the snap, possible holding on the Iowa Hawkeyes down in the trenches.
Yeah, they threw it right at the trench area there, so that's usually the holding call. And one of the things also with Betts, he's a great runner, and we've seen a couple times where he shows some signs of that quick-footedness and can get outside, but overall Chippewas are still chasing him down and not giving him the running room that I'm sure he would expect or would like to have today to show some of the moves that he really can do.
Earlier in the broadcast, we talked about the fact that Rob Tyne is the #1 guy in that backfield, but we wouldn't be surprised to see Betts with more carries. I mean, he was recruited by Michigan, Notre Dame. 79 yards in the spring game. Big numbers in high school playing in Springfield, Missouri. Reiners back to pass, overshoots his man. It's Kevin Casper down inside the 50. And Reiners putting up decent numbers last year. Led the Big Ten in passing efficiency. Really having a hard time finding his targets here this afternoon.
Well, he sure has. And again, some credit to the Chippewas with that. They're covering pretty well. By that time, the Hawkeyes came out with just a single back offense. Mike Berger, the only one in the backfield, and 4 receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 wideouts. And they just wanted to throw a quick square out, pick up some yards. And I know work on that short passing game that they hope the Reiners can fill in on as the year goes on.
2nd and 22. Reiners bobbles the snap. Heavy pressure. Still gets the pass off, and he has his man. Casper at the 30. Down to the 20 inside the 15-yard line, and finally dropped by Williams at the 12. Nice poise that time by Randy Reiners, and Casper doing a good job of finding the open field.
By the end of the season, they'll look back on this as that major gain and say, what a great timing pass that was. What a great job by Reiners. He almost gets sacked one more time back in the backfield, but that's really where he excels. He can move around and look downfield at the same time, and if he didn't see somebody open, he has that ability to run, but that time did a great job of getting the ball to Casper. And you'll see it here one more time as Casper comes from the other side across the field. He was able to find him and get the ball to him.
So the Hawkeyes are finally in the red zone. They were in there 41 times a year ago, scoring 29, 25 touchdowns. Betts gets the call, but he is wrapped up immediately. I believe number 41, Gold, making the initial contact for Central Michigan, but 4 or 5 CMU players all over Betts.
Well, and what a great job once again. That's one of Iowa's favorite plays, and I'm sure that Dick Flynn and his staff saw that. It's that quick move to one side and then a slant back against the weak side. And I tell you, they played that so well. They ran right up through that hole and made the hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Yamini at the bottom of your screen. Khalil Hill at the top. They're going to go upstairs, and Reiners dropped the football. There's going to be the fake handoff, possible bootleg with Hill on the top of your screen, and Reiners dropped the football. Central Michigan retired.
That's exactly what it was, and after the fake, he wanted to put that ball on his hip, but he put it on there a little too firmly, and that ball popped out of his hand, and we'll see it right here. Pretty good fake right there, and he maybe bumped in a little bit, bumped into Betts there a bit too, but just couldn't get that ball and keep control of it.
Well, Central Michigan watching Hill with some long returns. They finally get a break, and now they have the football at the 24-yard line. Hayden Fromm, 3 Rose Bowl trips, all-time winningest coach. He's only 5 behind Bo Schembechler's Big Ten wins, only 8 behind Woody Hayes. Massey finally has some running room, cuts it back in. He's up to the 29. That's about the most running room. Number 3, Silas Massey, has seen all afternoon, a gain of 6 on the play.
And as we talked about it, he shows those signs after his injury that he has that quickness and speed that he can get to the outside and jump up through a hole like that for a good 6-yard gain.
Man down on the play. It looks like cramping. Can't tell if it's number 94. Of course, Rod Mackey just talking about the fact that DeVries, if he had an Achilles heel, would be cramping in this heat. Game time temperatures were expected to be around 95 degrees.
And even though it's really comfortable, I think, especially here, but there's a lot of breeze up above the stadium. But I tell you, I've been down there, and that it's really warm, and when you have that sun beating on you for that period of time.
Yeah, especially when you're caught up in a tight ball game, and not quite as hot as the Coliseum last week with Purdue and USC. What was it? Almost 120 degrees. I don't know how they played that football game.
Exactly. So yeah, we don't know who that is yet. I guess you still can't see the number real clearly. But that can happen, boy. I tell you, you play in those kind of conditions, and you just hope that there's enough water on the field that you can stay halfway.
Well, it's not
fluid.
DeVries.
Yeah, McCracken. Jeff McCracken.
6'2", 231-pound sophomore out of Springfield, Missouri. Let's check in with Rod Mackey downstairs. Rod?
Guys, thanks a lot. Standing here with a celebrity, so to speak. You might recognize him, former Buffalo Bill J.D. Hill, who from this point on will be known as Khalil's dad. Not a bad start for the kid.
It's not a bad start. This is something he's been waiting for all of his life, and this is the greatest game of his career right now.
I know as a father you envisioned a good start for him, but could you envision anything like this?
No way. The first time he touched the ball, he scores a touchdown on a punt return. He's back on his first kickoff return. He scores a touchdown. The kid's very excited.
Final question for you, J.D. Talk about the fact that you're down here on the sidelines. As we walked over, you told me you get a little itchy to get back, don't you?
I tell you, once you've been part of this and in this arena, you never lose the desire to play.
Very good. J.D., thank you very much. Once again, that's J.D. Hill, or from this point on, as we said, it's Khalil's dad. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, great point, Rod. Number 99, Anthony Herron, making the play. One of 4 true freshmen to see action last year. He had a couple of sacks.
And there's a guy, J.D. Here's a guy that could play football, too, I'll tell you. Oof, he was good.
Well, they say, how do you replace someone like Tim Dwight? Receivers like Dwight. This year's receivers are actually bigger. Penalty flags down as Shepard looks for Pitts at the 25 out in the flat. They'd say the talents there, plus the bigger receivers, and they say the quarterbacks have had a lot of success finding them. Actually, they said they can't miss them in practice with Yamini and Hill being bigger receivers, but
And I know the Hawkeye offensive scheme of things like to see more of those completions, those big receivers, but it's hard to do when you got the Chippewas in your face all the time. That makes it quite difficult.
Well, the call is going to bring up a 4th down, illegal procedure. Some movement on Central Michigan side. Kyle McCann was last seen warming up down on the Iowa sidelines, the 2nd-string quarterback. But Jake Kemp back in the ball game again for the Chippewas. The last time he kicked the football, it went 50 yards, kicking from his own 5. This time he'll kick it by the time he releases the football at about the 18-yard line. Low snap. Kick might have been partially blocked. Hits at midfield. And it gets a Central Michigan roll inside the 40 down to the 36. We're going to take a timeout from Kinnick Stadium. 10 minutes and 21 seconds to go in quarter number 3. Iowa 14, Central Michigan nothing. You're watching college football from ESPN+. And McCann bobbles the snap. His first college snap, the redshirt freshman, and he'll bring up a 2nd down. Tough start for the young McCann, but they say, boy, this guy has a lot of poise. As a matter of fact, Hayden Fry said as far as comparisons with Chuck Long, this guy probably compares more closely than any quarterback as far as the poise.
Yeah, I know the coaching staff's really high on him, and there's his first mistake that he made, but never to fumble again in his career. We'll put up with that first one. Right?
It's funny, you know, when you're playing quarterback, though, that's the thing you dread most. You don't even think of throwing a pick. You just worry about fumbling that snap from center.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 2nd and 10, 36. McCann getting his first college start. Gold is coming. He's showing blitz, and McCann will roll to the right. And he completed his first pass. Yamini almost breaks it. And he's dragged out of bounds by Tadaro France, and it might have been a face mask on the far sideline.
That's what it looked like, but I'll tell you what, that is a classic Chuck Long move that, honest to God, you'd think that was Chuck out there throwing it one more time.
That's the one you were talking about earlier.
Exactly. That roll out with the quick square out and banging. It's an 8-10-yard completion.
Well, Kyle McCann, he's out of Creston, Iowa. 28 touchdowns in high school, only 4 picks his final 2 years of high school football.
That's what it was, just a half a rollout and wide open with that good quick square out and first down, plus the penalty.
So he bobbles his first snap, but he also completes his first pass as a collegiate. Not a bad basketball player as well. In 3 games in the state Iowa tournament, scored 70 points, 24 rebounds, but right now he's got football on his brain, as do football fans all across the state of Iowa. The Hawkeyes leading 14-0. McCann wants to put it up again. And again, he finds his man at the 30-yard line. That time it's Ryan Barton making a nice catch and going out of bounds.
And that even looked like that was an adjustment by Barton, that the defender didn't come up on him. In fact, he was going back, that he ran that out about 15 yards. Now, that's one thing that Chuck couldn't quite do as well. Maybe roll to his left and throw that pass, but there is a great execution by the part of McCann.
20 yards on the play. Boy, you look at Chuck Long, it's mind-boggling. Over 10,000 yards passing, 74 touchdowns. Twin receivers down at the top of your screen. McCann, if he keeps this up, that's a good way to start a quarterback controversy in Iowa City. 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line. The pitch to Time. Has some running room. Inside the 30, the 25. He's dropped at the 23. Coming over to make the initial contact is Jeremy Gold, with Jason Gold finishing him off. Gain of 5 on the play for Tyne.
That was pretty much a standard Rob Tyne type of run. He made the turn, and he saw 2 or 3 people he had to run over instead of trying to avoid. And he lowered his shoulder, popped him, and got a couple more yards out of it.
You look at that Iowa offense, the #1 returning receiver, Austin Wheatley, the tight end, with 7 catches. Hawkeye fans have to wonder whatever happened to Tony Collins. This is supposed to be his year. Betts, he has some running room inside the 20, the 15. Betts, 10, 5. He's dropped, but not until he reaches the end zone. Another touchdown, Iowa.
Well, that's what a lot of people are waiting for, to see what Liddell Betts could do, and what a great effort that was. Not only did he make a good run of it, but he had some pretty good blocking out there, but he did a super job. As you're going to watch, is just waiting for a couple blocks. You see Berger there throwing a great block. A couple of other guys in there as well, but he was able to step up through there, so he showed 2 things. Good strength in breaking a tackle or 2, but then also some speed to get down to the end zone. So whatever they said at halftime is working so far for the Hawkeyes with the offense, and primarily, though, McCann in there throwing a couple quick completions gets the excitement going real quick.
Zach Bromertz in the kick. He's hit 15 consecutive dating back to last season. This one's up and through, make that 16 straight. And now with 8:36 to go in quarter number 3, the Iowa Hawkeyes have opened up a 3-touchdown lead over Central Michigan. Let's take another look at this one.
For sure, and again, the blocking was excellent over on that side, but to give Betts a lot of credit that you could see 2 or 3 arm tackles that he broke, and then right at the tail end, the strength that he had to step out of one more tackle right about the 5-yard line to get it in the end zone. So what has turned out to be, first of all, a specialty team highlight film has turned in at least a little offense for the Hawkeyes at this point.
And there's the numbers on Randy Reiner's 5 of 14, one over the century mark, but 1 pick. And if you're looking for a spark, and that's what you usually look for when you put the second stringer in, Kyle McCann certainly moved the chains, hitting his first 2 passes, and then Betts takes it in for the touchdown, and Iowa's opened up a 21-0 lead. McCann played pretty well, actually, in the spring game. Actually, Hayden Fry said all 3 of his quarterbacks played well in the spring. McCann was 14 of 21 for 151 yards.
And that's it, the third with Mullen. He is a good quarterback also, so it's encouraging to see that as good backup people to Randy Reiner.
Baker, a low kick this time. He's had 3 going to the end zone. This one stopped him going in. Allen, he has some running room, but it closes. The wedge closed up at the 25. And he was finally nailed right there. That's where Central Michigan will start their next possession. Return of 24 yards by Reggie Allen.
Yeah, the player downfield, and I kind of like to watch those kickoffs. Those are fun. There are a lot of collisions out there that those kids love to get into. But Travis Sanders, a linebacker from Iowa Falls, was the one that made the initial hit. And he's been in playing a lot as a reserve linebacker at this point, too. So he's getting a lot of playing time both on the specialty teams as with the defense.
So once again, the Chippewas quickly leave the sideline, go without the huddle. We got 8:28, so now time is not on their side. They trail by 21. Whistles will nullify this play. If it had not been stopped, it looked like Ed Sadot would have been all over Pete Shepard anyway.
Ball start on the offense.
Central Michigan's had
5-yard
problems
penalty.
with those
Still
false
first
starts
down.
throughout the afternoon. Still first down. Central Michigan last year losing at Florida 82-6, and a lot of people said they never bounced back from that. And of course, Ohio University for the Mid-American Conference going down to North Carolina State. They were leading at one point 31-14 on Thursday night, only to lose 34-31 on a block punt. And Central Michigan hanging tough, but right now they trail by 3 touchdowns. Shepard goes upstairs. Allen, did he make the catch?
Wow.
A super grab. Inside Iowa territory, going up and over Holman, a gain of 31 on the play.
Boy, you couldn't ask for better execution both offensively and defensively. Defender was right there, and it looked like he might even make the interception. But Allen does a great job of going over his back and taking the ball away from him. That's Holman, as we talked about, has had a pretty good game today. But boy, that's just a great effort on Allen's part.
Boy, unbelievable, Mike. 8 100-yard games Allen's had for the Chippewas. Caught 50 for 877, but he had 9 touchdowns and 1,200 yards 2 years ago for Central Michigan. First down now inside Iowa territory, and Shepard's going to call a timeout to talk things over with Dick Flynn.
Yeah, whatever the confusion was, we couldn't really tell, but he came right to the line of scrimmage and called timeout, whether or not he didn't have enough people in the field or wrong call or maybe the Iowa defense was set up in a position that he wasn't sure of. But anyway, he needed to go to the sideline and get some correction.
That's Mike's Dan Sippa talking things over on the sidelines for the offensive line. And to get inside the huddle of your favorite Big Ten team, go online at www.big10.org for all the football and conference news from around the Big Ten Conference. Big Ten college football. Iowa opening things up. Michigan at Notre Dame, Ohio State at West Virginia. Big day for the conference. And a big day for the Mid-American Conference as well, as Central Michigan left this field at halftime trailing only 7-0. But boy, what a performance by the freshman Khalil Hill.
And you look look at that and think that the specialty team is what had to keep Iowa in the game, at least at this point. But maybe a little demoralizing the fact that Central Michigan could have said, hey, we did a little better job. That would have been a 0-0 half that really would have brought them out with a lot of pizzazz in that second half.
Keep in mind the Chippewas have gone 165 games without being shut out, the 4th longest streak of the nation behind BYU, Texas, and Washington. Single setback. Pitch goes to Eric Flowers. He's got some running room. Flowers inside the 40-yard line before he's finally dragged down. And making the stop for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Travis Centers, who Mike just spoke of just moments ago.
Yeah, Centers looks like he has a lot of pursuit ability in this particular play. You can see him there chasing down a running back, and well, I'll tell you what, one more step and he might not have been able to get there, but still it's a good pursuit effort on his part. And the fact that he's in there playing for Matt Hughes and a couple of these others, linebackers have been hurt, it's going to be very important that he matures along with everybody else to keep the defensive secondary strong.
Oh, Raj Clark came up and really hit Eric Flowers, but his momentum, second chance, brought it down to the 35-yard line and a first down for Central Michigan. But boy, number 44 really put a whack on him.
He really did, and that's the type of play that Raj Clark is famous for. He's got a lot of quickness as well, but boy, he comes up and really sticks people. Very comparable to Rollins. Rollins, the player, the linebacker we talked about being hurt. Was he tough. But he had the bigger size also than Clark.
But you being a former Chicago Bear linebacker, you say he put a whack on him, but he didn't wrap him up, right, with his arms.
Exactly.
Let him out. 21-0. That's our score. 1st and 10 now as Central moves the chains at the 35. Handoff again, Flowers. He is tripped up as he hit the line of scrimmage. He was hit immediately. Number 99, that's Anthony Herron, the 6'5", 270-pound sophomore.
A good play that time by Aaron Klein. There's a name we haven't really called that many times today, but he is another one of the anchors as far as experience on that defensive line, along with Jared DeVries. At that time, he did a great job staying low and cutting underneath the block, and was able to upset that back before he had any type of momentum going.
Central Michigan from the eye. That's Jason Meyer at the fullback. He has yet to carry the football here this afternoon. Shepard goes upstairs, and Mr. Allen, the all-time leading receiver, definitely heard some footsteps, but I'm not so sure I could blame him for that one, because you could feel that Hawkeye Bowen coming down quickly.
I think so, and Stockdale looked like he might have got just a tip on that ball also that delayed it getting there as quick as he'd like. But Hawkeyes have another player down there. Looks like they're working on a possible leg cramp. Let's see if Stockdale might have got a little finger on it. It didn't look like it, but I think you're right. The footsteps was the biggest offender there.
I'm not sure if I can blame him for that one, because Bowen was just waiting for him to touch the football. And that is Bowen down on the field being looked at. And some of the football players out there right now, as we take a look at Hayden Fry. Some of the players down on one knee, taking a breather. 95 degrees at game time. Bowen's done a great job here this afternoon for the Iowa secondary.
And excuse me, Mike, that's a good point, because I know we talked about how quick that defensive secondary could mature, but what I've seen, I think the Hawkeyes have a lot of personnel that can mature into top-notch Big Ten defenders.
Oh, they definitely have talent. And even the coaches said yesterday they didn't doubt they had some talented football players, but they didn't know how they're going to perform because of the inexperience. So the Chippewas facing another 3rd down situation. Shepard wants to go from the shotgun. 3rd and 10 from the 35-yard line. Twin receivers to the bottom of your screen, but he looks left and goes down the far sideline and overshoots his man. Allen again. It's interesting at this juncture of the game that it seems like every time he drops back now, Mike, he's looking for number 28.
Well, I think that's always that comfort level that you find sometimes. You got one of the greatest or one of the best ever, and they really would feel that they got to maximize their efforts with him. And DeVries here coming on the I guess what you want to call a trick, trying to get in there. He came down. Hopefully it's just coming down hard.
Looks like a cramp.
A cramp, I think, more than anything else. So that's and we talked about that. He's had that situation. Good coverage that time by the Hawkeyes as well. We talked about wanting to get the ball to Allen. That's the logical thing. But boy, some good coverage over there with Joe Slattery and then Trey Holman one more time. So you put that together, good response to that ball in that zone defense. It's certainly something that is encouraging for the Hawkeye secondary.
A couple of minutes ago, we saw Jeff McCracken go down with the cramp, and now Coaches were saying yesterday it was only a matter of time before number 94, Jared DeVries, would cramp up, as he has done so often before in hot temperatures. As the weather is starting to affect these players now, with 6 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the third quarter here from Iowa City.
I'm going to bet it's a cramp. You're 100% right, Mike. But boy, wouldn't that be something if this guy went down early in the season after turning down a possibility going to the NFL draft and saying, no, I want to come back for one more year of Hawkeye football. And let's just hope that it is just a cramp that will be very short-lived.
You have to admire that Jared DeVries is starting every football game since becoming eligible as a redshirt freshman. So this would make him, what, his 36th consecutive start, 37th consecutive start here at Iowa. And interesting to note, too, the Shrine game coming up in January, if he should be picked to play. And Hayden Fry would have to admire this as well. He probably would be picked to play in that football game, but he said on that certain date the game is being played, he's getting married. There's no way he's going to play. I believe it's the East-West Shrine game.
Definitely has to be the game. Definitely has to be the game then, right?
Tell his fiance that, huh? He will be married on that day. Coleman standing at the 10-yard line. Jake Kemp. Standing at the midfield stripe. Nice high kick. A little bit too far. Goes into the end zone, and the Iowa Hawkeyes will take it back out of the 20-yard line. So after a 7-0 lead at halftime, the Hawkeyes have tacked on 14 more points, and they lead Central Michigan 21-0. The Chippewas feeling they still have plenty of time, but they want to avert their first shutout since 1982.
And a few statistics there for Jared DeVries, and boy, what a career he's had with this Hawkeye football team. And he's right there as far as the sacks, and he's working on that as far as getting the record.
Mike Wells tied with 33. Wells not a bad football player in his own right, huh?
That's for sure. Mike Wells is an outstanding player as well.
What amazes me about this Iowa football program, and it's really admirable, is they give their walk-ons a good hard look. And a lot of these walk-ons become scholarship players. And some programs get lost in the shuffle, but Zach Bromert said he was interested. He was impressed that Hayden Fry actually knew his name as a walk-on, and he said that was pretty cool. As a matter of fact, you were an All-American, but didn't your son walk on here and become a captain?
That's exactly right. 13 years ago, my son Jim came down and walked on, and he majored 4 years as a player down here. And he was with that 85 team we referred to earlier with the Rose Bowl team, but yeah, he ended up being a co-captain his senior year.
All you young football players out there in Iowa, the state of Iowa, listening, if you have to walk on at Iowa, there is an opportunity and a future here with the Hawkeyes. As Hayden Fry would say, they have to look at the walk-ons, though. Because, you know, let's be honest. You look at Michigan, Ohio State, and Iowa, 1, 2, 3 as far as wins. And Iowa's right up there. The job that Hayden Fry and his coaching staff has done, and probably not with the talent on a year-to-year basis that a Michigan or Ohio State gets.
You know, that's a great point, because a lot of people, even last year when the Hawkeyes didn't perform up to what a lot of people thought, you know, there's a little criticism, and it's only natural. I mean, the Hawkeyes want to win every game, and I think the players want to win it more than the fans even. But you know, those kids don't go out there and make mistakes on purpose. And it's just one of those things. And when you're working with 18 to 23-year-old young men, there's going to be some mistakes, and things don't go right all the time. But what can you say about Hayden Fry? He came to Iowa 20 years ago, and what a tremendous job he's done bringing this football program to the level that it is.
Hayden looking for his 230th college victory. Central Michigan jumping all over the place. That's Joe Adam, number 69. I did not detect any movement on the Iowa offensive line.
It'll be interesting here, though, Mike, because that was an awfully quick shift, meaning a shift to the guys going down to the line. And it will be interesting. I think they're going to call it against the Chippewas jumping offside, but yeah, that could be real close to saying the offense drawing them off.
Defense encroached with contact in the zone. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That definitely would have to go against Joe Adam, the 6'3", 260-pound junior out of Howell, Michigan, just outside of Lansing. So now second and short, 2nd and 3 from the 27-yard line. The I formation for Iowa. Kyle McCann, if you just joined us, is taking over the quarterback reins for Hayden Fry's Hawkeyes. Central Michigan putting 8-9 men up in the box. McCann rolling left, and it's batted down. by number 12, that's Sean Williams, who started 3 consecutive years at corner and starting this game at the safety spot for Central Michigan.
Yeah, and he did a great job that time reading that same play that the Hawkeyes had success with earlier in the last drive. But he was out there sprinting up underneath the pass pattern or underneath the receiver and did a good job of getting his hand on it.
So the Hawkeyes go from 2nd and short to 3rd and long. It's a long 3 anyway at the 27. Straight drop back, pressure by Gold, and McCann's going down. Number 41, that's Jason Gold, the second leading tackler on the Chippewa football team a year ago with 96.
And with Gold coming from the backside, I mean, the quarterback doesn't see it, and they've been doing that all day long with either the strong safety or the weak safety or the outside linebacker. But boy, that's, again, the pressure that they've been able to put on the Hawkeye quarterbacks has been quite outstanding throughout the whole day.
So Jason Baker standing about the 6-yard line. Boy, last year, his first punt in the Sun Bowl went 76 yards, broke a record that stood for 30 years. Averaging a shade over 30 yards a kick this afternoon. The ball hits and lays dead at about the 44-yard line. 36 yards on the kick, and Central Michigan gets another opportunity to snap the shutout. The Iowa Hawkeyes back home next Saturday afternoon against Iowa State. Then they head to Arizona, and we'll check on Central Michigan. But first, let's check in with Rod Mackey.
Well, guys, the Kinnick crowd held their breath a couple minutes ago when Jared DeVries went down. After all, he passed up big NFL dollars to play one more season here, his senior season in Iowa. He is just fine. The problem, the same as it always seems to be with Jared, the heat has caused his left calf to cramp up. As far as Bowen, he's back on the field, cramps as well. He's all right. Back to you.
Hey, Rod, how hot is it down there anyway?
In this blue blazer, don't even ask.
Well, that Sweat's wide open. That's the tight end inside the 40. And he's tripped up by Holman. Sweat's filling the void left by Adam Simonson. Sweats, that's his second catch of the afternoon. This one goes for 20 yards.
And I got to believe we're going to see a little bit more of that now, where the Chippewas got away from it after having some success early in the game with some crossing patterns with the tight end or that little bit of square out like they just did there. And I think that's the only way they're going to get it to be able to move the football against the Hawkeyes, especially with a lot of fresh people that the Hawkeyes are putting in up front. And I tell you, the weather's starting to wear on that Chippewa offensive line, too.
Well, Dick Flynn said his number 1 concern was that tight end. Quick drop, looking for Pitt, and he was covered like a blanket by number 2, Tariq Holman. Holman's had good coverage all afternoon long. But you look at the 4 major concerns for Dick Flynn: tight end, secondary, quarterback, and kicking. I'm not so sure how they'll grade out when the films come out on Monday, but Sweats with a couple of catches. The secondary really hasn't played too poorly.
And I don't think the kicking has been bad, but it's a kick coverage that hasn't been real good for the Chippewa.
And Shepard's been so-so with the numbers, but he showed some poise this afternoon. There's some blitz coming from the outside, and Allen had it and dropped the football at the 32.
That's one of those should have been, but I tell you what, the umpire was right in the line of flight there. I don't know if you saw that, but I think he lost sight of that ball just a fraction of a second as he was coming across the middle that he didn't see with the umpire in his way.
So Shepard facing another 3rd down situation. Joe Dana checks into the lineup, number 6. He goes wide to the left side, top of your screen. Dana has yet to catch a football here this afternoon. Shepard, pressure again, puts it up, has his man, it's complete at the 15-yard line. It's Allen. Boy, Mike, Shepard laid that one in the pocket beautifully that time.
Well, the thing is, you don't know how good that was because he was getting pressure by Peterson, defensive end, was right in his face as he threw that ball. So you got to give Shepard a lot of credit. Watch this. Just as he's throwing that ball, Peterson was there, and I tell you, he threw it on a rope. Perfect shot between the 2 zones.
Allen does a nice job hanging in the air, too, coming back to the football just right there.
Absolutely.
Ball resting at the 15-yard line. Quick pitch. It's Eric Flowers. Sees a hole. Gets down to the 10. And he's finally dropped. Looked like McCracken making the initial stop for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So Central Michigan, this is the third time this afternoon they've been in the red zone, but they have yet to crack that end zone.
Yeah, they did what? One field goal was the only real chance they had to put points on the board. They missed that. So you have to give the Iowa defense a lot of credit as well. That they've been when they needed to get tough, when the time was there to move or be strong, they were able to do it.
Especially in the first half when Gold intercepted that ball, took it back to the end zone, but was nullified. Central Michigan had a great opportunity, but Iowa rose to the occasion. Pressure down in the trenches. Flowers hits the left side of the line. He goes inside the 10-yard line down to about the 8. Down to the 3-minute mark of quarter number 3. Bowen, former All-State quarterback, he has had a remarkable afternoon in the secondary for a young safety for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
And from Dick Flynn's perspective and the coaching staff of the Chippewas, right now is where even if we don't win the game, here's a situation that you really want to have your team work on, and that is, hey, you're in the red zone, control the football, pound it in there, get the first down, do the things that you have to do, and you know you're going to have to do a lot of times during the season. So I tell you, this is a great learning experience, and I know that they're thinking, hey, now take advantage of some situations that just haven't been there much this game.
Numbers not good in third down territory for the Chippewas, as you can see right there. Here we go again, 3rd and 3. The ball resting on the 9-yard line of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Pitt in motion. Shepard looking. Overshoots his man, the big tight end, at the 6-yard line. That was Sweats. And are we facing a kicking situation with 2:25 to go, or do you go for it on 4th down, Mike?
Well, I've got to believe they're going to execute the kicking game just the way they want to do it in a normal situation. Rather than think that they can pull this game out, they want to say, hey, here's the time you got to put it through the uprights. But the tight end was wide open on this play. It was just a matter of getting the ball to him, and Shepard threw it over his head a bit. But if he got it to him, it was a first down and to keep the drive alive.
So the freshman Paul Savage from St. Clair Shores lines up, the left footer, the ball resting at the 16. It'll be a 26-yard attempt. He's missed from 46 earlier. And the kick is up, and this one is off to the left again. So the young freshman has been wide left twice this afternoon. And again, Iowa holds up on the shutout. 5 times in the last 15 games, Mike, this Iowa defensive unit has blanked the opponent.
Well, that's right, and there's no question that the carryover of all the players in defense, especially the DeVries and the Kleins and the linebackers, Hawkeyes are expecting more of that this year. And it's encouraging to see what they're doing against the Chippewas, but boy, your heart has to go off for that freshman kicker. You'd like to have that young kid have some success early on to give him some confidence, and all he can do is go back and keep practicing and hope the next ones work.
And his uncle, Roddy Savage, was one of the top kickers in Central Michigan history back in the 70s when they piled up a lot of W's. McCann stays at quarterback for Iowa. And the Hawkeyes pick up maybe a yard or 2 on the play. It was Betts again. Betts getting most of the carries here for Iowa this afternoon.
And you mentioned that they know what Rod Thine can do. He's a good, solid ball player, good blocker besides a good, solid, heavy-duty runner. But, yeah, they want to see Betts in there and give him as much experience as they can and gain conditions to bring him along as fast as they can.
Single set, 2nd and 9. McCann with the lob, and it's caught at the 50-yard line. Beautiful concentration by number 88. That's Ryan Barton.
That's a great catch. And the thing you're going to really see here is how the ball was thrown to the outside, which is hard to tell. But at the same time, he knew that there's a defender on the inside of the receiver. He put the ball over his left shoulder and then let it up to the receiver, Barton, to make a great catch over the left shoulder like he did. And wow, that's great execution, reading the defense as well as throwing a great pass and a great catch.
Gain of 39 on the play. Ryan Barton, speaking of walk-ons, you're looking at one right there. Bashir Yamini started the football game, but I noticed way back in the first quarter of the second series, Barton was in. He had a big spring. Betts with the delay. Finds some running room. Betts at the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Liddell Betts goes from 40 yards, his second touchdown of the day.
And I think the fans have read a lot about Betts, and now they're really seeing what he can do. Some great blocking up front. A good fake on the part of McCann. The pass, you can see where it's a draw play. He's going to go back, give the ball, then fake the pass. And that is just a little bit of that fake can isolate a few people, but some good blocking up front and breaking a couple tackles. And away he went. Then he picked up a great block on the outside when he cut to the corner by one of the wide receivers. So good execution straight across the board that time by the Hawkeyes.
Keep in mind, Hawkeye fans, that's not a junior or senior you're looking at, but a redshirt freshman. Ladell Betts, once known as the 6th best tailback in the nation coming out of high school. Zach Bromert is perfect on the day. And now the Iowa Hawkeyes have opened up a 28-0 lead.
Yeah, we're going to see this run again, and I'll tell you, so the blocking and execution up front is fantastic when you see it, the way they caved everything down, and then Betts went to just around the outside of that, then up through, broke a couple tackles. Here's a great shot of it coming right at you, and wow, look at this. Two people, good hit on him, and he was able to break that tackle and move it on in. Great run.
Well, the second half definitely going a lot better for Hayden Fry's Hawkeyes, but Mike, you look at Central Michigan, played well.
Well, there's Derrick Rose. He's a center, and I tell you, those guys love it when the running game puts one in the end zone. They like to get out there and celebrate.
Rose graded out at 99% last year. That's pretty impressive. But getting back to Central Michigan, they've got Western Illinois and Kent before going to Michigan State. So now, at this juncture, with 1:29 to go in the third quarter, I think it's important for Central, even though they might not be thinking victory anymore at this point, to keep the score as it is, or try to get a couple of touchdowns themselves so they can get out of Iowa City with some kind of moral victory if there is such a thing.
There's no question about it. And the biggest thing is you have to keep your head, you have to execute and do what you're supposed to do. Basically consider it almost a scrimmage game now to practice what you need to.
Well, that was a live football, but blown dead. I'm surprised it was blown dead so early. Danny Myrick let it hit in the end zone. That was Greg McLaughlin getting a chance to kick off for Iowa as Baker handled the duties earlier on in the ball game. But Central Michigan again starting with 80 yards of pay dirt in front at the 20-yard line.
And you have to believe that they're a little bit tired. Obviously, we talked about the heat, but the fact that they're traveling, you don't travel with as many players as you do in a home game, that the Hawkeyes can bring in more and more players as the day goes on. These guys are getting a little tired, you have to believe, beating on the Hawkeyes time after time after time.
I was going to say they have to be. We're standing up here in the booth, and I'm getting tired just standing here. It's a warm one here in Iowa City, but a beautiful day. Shepard. Intentional grounding? Iowa wants some. So the Iowa coaching staff down to the sidelines, that's the first thing they thought of.
Well, the referee made a good call here, actually, Mike. The ball was deflected. He was trying to throw it. I think he might have been trying to throw it just out of bounds, but it was deflected.
So 2nd and 10 now for Central Michigan. Chippewas coming off that 2-9 season. They've revamped the coaching staff. 4 new coaches on the staff. Definitely Tom Curley, the offensive coordinator, did a remarkable job the last couple of years. They put a lot of points on the board last year, but they gave up way too many. This time it's complete. Shepard to the tight end. Sweats again. That's the 3rd catch of the afternoon for Sweats. Probably should be his 4th, but Shepard overshot him in the last possession.
I tell you what, the player in there for the Hawkeyes, number 97, LeVar Woods, did a great job reading that and staying with that tight end going across the middle.
3rd and 5. Let's check in with Rob Mackey.
Hey guys, the last time that Central Michigan came to town, 1994, Iowa debuted 2 freshmen, Tavian Banks and Tim Dwight. This year, it's number 46, Ladell Betts and Khalil Hill. Repeat. Back to you.
You got it, Rod. 3rd and 5. Shepard out of the shotgun. He has his man. I believe it's the tight end. Sweats up to the 32-yard line. Another first down for Central Michigan. Getting back to the Chippewa coaching staff, they said they had to revamp because the last 3 years they really had to examine everything from top to bottom because they were giving up way too many points. And Central Michigan, one of their strengths during their glory years was that quick, hard, aggressive defense. And 28-0. I don't know how you read a 28-0 ball game. You've played the game, Mike. I don't know if, and I know coaches hate the word moral victory. But I don't know, what do they have to do in this fourth quarter, 20 seconds to go in the third, to get out of here feeling good about themselves?
Well, I think they have to stay with what they've been doing and not just collapse for the sake of saying, hey, we don't have a chance to play. They have to keep their head up and play hard. The thing they got to remember, and we all remember, is where's 14 of those points from? And other than the kicking game that put them in the hole, hey, the defense has played pretty solid. The offense has been somewhat consistent. So I got to believe they got to walk away, even if they left right now, very positive with what happened, transpired here today.
That's why I think it's important. If they could lead right now, they still have 15 minutes and 10 seconds to go. They got to keep the Hawkeyes out of the end zone in the fourth quarter.
And the tough part of that is you're going to see a lot of younger kids with fresh legs coming in there, and they're going to want to get in the end zone and play tough. And they might put a few more points on the board.
Shepard, he's going down quickly.
Well, fumble too. It's a fumble. They did. That ball popped loose, and I can't tell which one the Hawkeyes fell on it, but the official just gave us the signal.
30. But that was Skip Miller, number 93. As soon as the ball was snapped, he was all over Shepard. And the fumble's recovered by Roger Meyer.
Yeah, look at the pressure coming in there right away. Wow. And they had no chance. Skip Miller was all over him, and then that ball popped loose.
Well, the coaches have really talked highly of Skip Miller during the summer camp for two-a-days. They said you're going to be seeing a lot of that football player.
Yes, he's just a sophomore. That's where exactly what Hayden Fry said. We have a lot of young people with some talent, but we got to get them out there and get them in the firing line and just see what they can do. Well, Skip Miller came through with a big play there.
McCann has led the Hawkeyes to 2 scoring drives, and now he has a good chance. Ball inside the 25. Touchdown!
Ooh.
Right on the money. Chris Oliver, the true freshman wide receiver out of Flossmoor, Illinois.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think McCann has brought everybody into reality here as far as his potential and his talents. What a great catch, but what a great throw. How many times you see that when there's a turnover, bang, the first thing you do, you go to the end zone, and that's what the Hawkeyes did. But what a great throw, as the receiver Oliver had beaten his man, and boy, just a matter of getting the ball out there in front of him, and he ran right under it. So what a great execution, and it's taken advantage of a good break.
So far, McCann is 4 of 5, 93 yards, and that touchdown, Bromert, is perfect on the afternoon, and suddenly Hayden Fry's Hawkeyes have opened up a 35-0 lead. We're heading for the fourth quarter. We'll be back for the final 15 minutes right after this. Start dreaming of late July, and college football has arrived. And after the first half, the Iowa Hawkeye fans like what they see, especially in that number 4, the backup quarterback Kyle McCann.
Wow, he's really performed very, very well for being a youngster, and it's just one of those things when Hayden Fry, he liked him all the way along, and there's another, that's Scott Mullen. He's a good quarterback, no question about it, but McCann has had a great fall. He looked good during the spring, and he's won that second position at least. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion, not controversy, but discussion as to who's going to be number 1 next year.
Massey takes the kick. No, it's Danny Myrick. Myrick's across the 20, stacked up at about the 24-yard line. So Central Michigan has less than 15 minutes now to try to avert the shutout. And the Iowa Hawkeyes getting things rolling here in the second half. Hayden Fry said before the game started he didn't know if they would hit 5th gear or lay an egg. Well, I think in his own determination, they laid the egg in the first half outside of Khalil Hill, but they played some pretty good football here in the second half. And as Mike said, Central Michigan's defense might be wearing down some, but Hayden Fry said McCann is probably the closest thing to Chuck Long as far as poise. He definitely showed some poise with that touchdown pass to the freshman. So Central Michigan trying to get things going here in quarter number 4. Massey tries to cut back, but nowhere to go. Nothing but black and gold uniforms.
Well, Anthony Herron, a defensive lineman, a sophomore, he's a guy that helped make that play. He got across the line of scrimmage really quick, and it actually slowed the momentum of their backup enough to get the pursuit over there.
Boy, look at the third down conversions. Both sides. Yeah. 1 of 13, 1 of 7. But now the Hawkeyes trying to put some yards on that board, just shy of 200.
In the second half, the Hawkeyes really haven't had too many third down situations, but in the first half there was a shutout on both sides, I believe, and that's not good. That's one of the things when you look at the offensive coaching scheme of things. wow, you got to pick up those and at least get up in that 50% bracket if you're going to be successful.
That's Matt Bowen coming off the field again, but again I have to believe it's cramping. He's been down 2 or 3 times here this afternoon. And going back in the game, Roger Meyer, the redshirt freshman linebacker out of Rock Rapids, Iowa. Just had that big fumble recovery before the touchdown pass. As the Iowa coaching staff trying to answer some questions. The Chippewas actually with 19 returning seniors, the most since 1994 when they won the Mid-American Conference Championship. That same 1994 season they opened the campaign right here in Iowa City. Central Michigan now 1 of 13 third downs.
You know, with that kind of leadership too, I think, Mike, it's important for the Chippewas to be positive about this game, even though it's kind of gotten out of hand. But the fact that they, you know, the new scheme of things in defense, the pressure type defense, the blitz, you know, being up front strong, you know, that's going to work in the long term. So they have to be confident that it will and keep working with it, and they're going to have success.
Shepard hoping not to go 1 for 14 in third down conversions from the shotgun. Had his man. Sweats wasn't sure when the ball was coming. He turned. It was there.
And Sweats wasn't real sure who was hanging on him either, because he almost tore his jersey off there. But I think that happened at the line of scrimmage with the linebacker. But the other linebacker, Dozel, he was there and covered very well on the play.
So Jay Kemp comes back on the field for Central Michigan. Holman goes back with Matt Stockdale at about the 37-yard line. Here's pressure. Whew. Nice job by Kemp to prevent the sack. Good kicks inside the 30. Finally stopped by Tadero France at about the 24-yard line. 51-yard kick that time by Kemp. That's his second 50-yarder this afternoon. 35-0 Iowa. Back after this.
Was really coming after him, and he did a great job of stepping to the side, and it's 2 things. Great job of getting the kickoff, but plus he kicked it 51 yards, so that's pretty good.
So once again, special teams getting the job done here this afternoon. McCann still at quarterback, inside handoff, gain of maybe 2 at the most for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Up 35-0. It'll be interesting to see when the Iowa coaches really start throwing in a lot of numbers, different ball plays. That was Miller. I believe that's Doug Miller's first carry. They say he could be the best number 3 back they've ever had here at Iowa.
Boy, how true that is. He's a great runner, and he's one of those slashing type runners that you don't really think he's going anywhere. But I'll tell you what, he just kind of bounces, and picks up 3, 4, 5 yards pretty regular.
Jeremy Allen in at quarterback, or at fullback rather. McCann wants to go deep, wide open, has his man, it's Barton at the 30, at the 20-yard line, and he's tripped up. He thought he had the touchdown. The senior Sean Williams saves the touchdown for Central Michigan.
Well, the thing that happened here is McCann didn't see him soon enough. It was a great out pattern, which you'd want to call a flag pattern that he ran, and he was a little bit late getting the ball out there, but nevertheless, it was a good throw. Once he did see it, he was able to execute it and get the job done. So, wow, what a great execution once again.
Tack on 55 more yards for Kyle McCann. And the Hawkeyes inside the red zone once again. Jeremy Allen, the track star, in the backfield with Doug Miller. Good counter play. Miller spins, tries to get to the 16-yard line. I'm not quite sure he made it. Bring up second down for Iowa as they're knocking on the door again.
Yeah, just as we talked about, Doug Miller does a good job. He's just a headsy ball player out there, and he makes a good move. He sees he can't get it through the hole where he wanted. He spins into the open spot, picks up 2 or 3 yards. So yeah, that's what you need, is a guy like that that can back up your number 1s and 2s. The other thing is Doug Miller, I want to mention that earlier, he plays the specialty teams, and when you look back during the game and see who's been involved, Miller's usually involved in most of those good plays too.
The freshman Oliver, top of your screen. McCann rolling, looking for Oliver. Has him! Out of the end zone. Inches away from his second touchdown grab of the afternoon.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a big almost. He was just a little late getting that ball out, plus he floated a little bit, but he just didn't see that receiver beating that man coming across the middle. But nevertheless, it was pretty exciting to get the ball down there and,
Mike,
almost.
Number 5, Bashir Yemeni, has not caught a ball. You can't see him there on your screen, but he was dying for the ball, but great poise by McCann looking for Oliver in the back of the end zone. That looked Montana and Dwight Clark. San Francisco against Dallas had all over it, except a little bit too far. So now it's 3rd and 8 for McCann and his Hawkeyes. The ball still resting at the 16-yard line. Casper in motion, top of your screen. Little delay, and it's not going to go anywhere. Smelled out beautifully by Central Michigan's defense. Brings up 4th down, and the field goal team coming on.
Chippewas did a good job of reading that delay play or draw play all the way. And now the Hawkeyes will try the field goal. And that's, again, the Hawkeyes, instead of just running the ball and eating up the clock, they're doing the things they have to do and will have to do during the season. And that's always a tough part of a game like this. I know Hayden Fry doesn't like to be out there throwing the ball around when you have a 35-point lead, but that's the only way you bring these young kids around and mature them into a good backup position.
Kick will be 33. Ball resting at the 23. Brommer 2 of 6 from this distance a year ago. He's perfect on conversions this afternoon. He drills this one to the uprights. So he's 1 for 1 from that distance in 98. 38-0 now. Hawkeyes over Central Michigan. You're watching college football from ESPN+.
Red right wing.
But the short kick into the wind, he had to field it and kept control of the ball for fairly good field position.
Kyle McCann, 6 plays, 60 yards, and only 241. You know, it's amazing last year when Iowa scored all those points. I think the average scoring drive, Mike, took only 2:06. So some quick hitters last year. 56 scoring drives, an average of 2 minutes to score for Iowa last year. Well, that means your defense is out there a lot, though, too.
They were, but that was exciting. I'll tell you, they were all the firepower that you'd ever want.
Flowers bobbles the football, and he coughs it up. And it's recovered by the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's Myers. If he has it, that's his 2nd of the afternoon. He's got it.
And he's the guy that got it. Some pretty good hitting there at the same time. It just looked like somebody got an arm on the ball or a fist up underneath that ball carrier, and that ball popped loose.
Roger Meyer rushed for over 3,000 yards in high school, but boy, he's getting it done defensively with 2 fumble recoveries here today.
Yeah, it almost looked like somebody was on the ground that reached back, like right there, and kind of shook that ball loose. So Hawkeyes with a big break. And coming into the game now, we see Scott Mullen at the quarterback position.
So you talk about McCann and his poise. Scott Mullen, they say he's been throwing some bullseyes in practice. Actually had 1 start last year for Iowa up against Wisconsin. Handoff, nowhere to go. 3 Chippewa players driving back to the 30-yard line. Forward progress will probably put it at the 28. That was Miller with the carry again for Iowa.
As an old linebacker, Mike, I do have to compliment the sound effects crew, because I tell you, you can hear that popping. And during all day long, there was a lot of hitting. But right now, intensity's out there just like it was early in the game. So you have to give Chippewas a lot of credit that, hey, they're still playing. They know what they have to do and learn from it and play hard.
They definitely have played hard this afternoon. Did not capitalize on a couple of opportunities, especially in the first half. Pressure. Mullen goes upstairs, overshoots his man. That's Casper. Mullen a little more height than the other guys, 6'6", 210, although Kyle McCann is 6'5". Mullen 6'6", 210, sophomore out of Lansing, Illinois. Let's go back downstairs with Rod Mackey.
Guys, quick information on Scott Mullen. He was actually supposed to come into this season as the number 2 guy, but he was injured, did not play in the spring game. That's when Kyle McCann moved ahead of him. Now Scott's down to number 3. Back to you.
And it's going to be interesting to see Monday morning who number 1 is. Mike. Mullen with his opportunity, trying to create a scoring drive now. 38-0 Hawkeyes, 10 minutes and 19 seconds to go. Well, they had the screen set up with Casper, and Mullen probably should have got rid of the football. He's dropped for the sack.
Yeah, that's a good observation, Mike, that they were trying to run that delayed screen right across the middle with Casper coming in from the far side. But I'll tell you, just good pressure one more time by the Chippewas. Didn't have a chance to drop the ball up. You can see Casper coming down across the center. But all Scott Mullen could do is try to run for it, but unable to outrun the two defenders.
That's that lookout blocking we talk about so often, huh? Loss of 18 on the play. And Zach Poff, who's actually the long snapper, is credited with the sack because he's getting some playing time here in quarter number 4. Under 10 minutes to go. Nice high kick. A little bit too far. Hits at the 1, goes in the end zone, and Central Michigan will start at the 20 like they have so often here this afternoon. 38-0, 9:25 to go in quarter number 4. Flag on the play.
And we'll have to wait to see what that was, but at the same time, with Lougheed coming in there at quarterback, he missed a wide receiver to the far side. I'm trying to catch the number, but
we're roughing the passer.
They were wide.
The defense,
wide receivers wide
yards,
open.
First down.
There was Pitts out there, but there was holding on the part of the defense, and that'll be a first down.
Matt Lougheed, a 6'6", 195-pound sophomore, didn't play high school football until his senior year. Concentrated on basketball, and then he played 1 year of high school football, made All-State. A lot of the people on the Central Michigan side, even though Shepard played fairly well here this afternoon, they think Shepard might be the better passer, but Lougheed might move the chains more effectively. Lougheed, that's what he can do right there. And he's up across the 45-yard line. Gain of 12 on the play.
Good job, and that was run all the way. You could see that. In the previous penalty, I said was defensive holding, but it was roughing the passer. That's a good job that time. A little different look when you see a guy back there in the shotgun. And he takes the ball one step back, and he's going to run for it from the get-go. He does a good job of diving for that first down.
Hayden Fry saying camp was so competitive this year, he couldn't tell the starters from the backups. He was, more than any other season, anxious to find out the strengths and weaknesses. How do you think Hayden will feel after the ball game when they head to the locker room? Analyzed it. Another penalty flag down at about the 45-yard line.
Well, I got to believe he's going to be real happy with the outcome of this, certainly the second half. As he went off at halftime, remember he said we got to make some adjustments on offense, and we'll see what happens. But I think he'll be very pleased to know that they were able to bounce back, adjust to what they had to do, and obviously with McCann coming on and having a lot of success, I got to believe he's going to be happy with the outcome of this because he's got a chance to see a lot of players, and that was one of the main objectives.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up by the Iowa Hawkeye fans.
Another win.
It'll be their 81st home opening victory in the history of Iowa football. And it's been a pretty rich tradition of Iowa football. First and 22 at the 34-yard line. This time Lougheed going with the shotgun. Twin receivers to the top, and he overshoots his man. Rory Nevins at the 30 goes out of bounds. Stops the clock and keeps those football players out in that sunshine all the longer.
I think they're all probably saying, let's just keep the clock going. I resemble that. But a game's like in this situation, other than the fact that a lot of young players are getting an opportunity to be out there, that's great.
Now we talk about the coaching changes on the Iowa side. I think I should mention Larry Holton. This is his first year with the secondary. I think the secondaries look pretty good for being so young. Sweats holds on to this one inside of Iowa territory this time. He's dropped a couple here this afternoon, but the tight end is seeing a lot of football. 17 yards on the gain for Central Michigan.
Yeah, you got Larry Holton doing that, but then you mentioned Bobby Elliott, the defensive coordinator, that's been named the assistant head coach. That combination, I'm sure you can see is working very well. When you get Thigpen, their #1 leader, let's say in the secondary, unable to play, and then you have to shift a few people around. We talked about it during the game here. There's a lot of maturity, it seems to have occurred with a lot of those players, and I got to believe they're going to be extremely happy with that too.
Lougheed rolls, fires to Sweats, and he is popped as soon as he touched the football. That's Ryan Hansen, another All-State high school quarterback, preventing the completion. And the drop ball stops the clock again with 8:01. Hansen out of West High School.
And give Hansen a lot of credit. Again, he's a youngster. He's only a sophomore, but the secret to success in the secondary is how you can time those hits when that ball's arriving at the receiver and you're arriving at the same time. And he did an excellent job that time.
It's a high kick. Goes into the end zone. Holman had called for the fair catch, but lets it sail into the end zone. They'll start from the 20-yard line. 7:53 to go. 38-zip. Hawkeyes. And he comes out throwing, and he completes it at the 35-yard line. Ryan Barton again. During the break, we talked about that, Mike. You get Mullen in there, who is now listed at number 3 on the depth chart. You can't blame a kid for having his chance to throw the football.
Exactly. So we're looking at basically the same game plan that when McCann came on the field. Roll out to the right, see if he can execute that play. And that's where you look at Dick Flynn. He understands that, too. He's not going to say anything negative about that. He knows what Iowa's trying to accomplish just like himself, and that is get as many plays in there as you can.
All-time Big Ten victories. There you have it. Hayden Fry right up there with the biggies. Woody Hayes, Bowl, Alonzo Stagg, all those years in Chicago. 1st and 10, 34. Keep it on the ground this time. And Miller, the ball carrier, barely makes the line of scrimmage. Probably a loss of a half a yard on the play. Bring up a 3rd and 11 from the 35-yard line. 33-yard line now with the loss. Loss of 2 actually on the play. Well, Hayden Fry said with all the new faces, you have to try something different and crazy. Not so sure we saw a lot of that here this afternoon, but remember when he was the coach at SMU back in 1968, went into Ohio State, passed the football, 76 times?
Yep.
Record that stood for 12 years. He's going to get his 230th victory here today. Mullen, lots of pressure, coughed up the football. And Miller jumps on it, way back at the 11-yard line.
It's kind of hard to tell where he's looking. He looked like he maybe was throwing down the right-hand side here, but whoop.
Like Green Bay fans will love to see that, huh? They'll get all that heat for the cheeseheads.
Well, those corn heads, I think, came about down at the bowl game last year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Somebody had the genius idea of making a corn head.
You need Dan Aykroyd to come in and be a spokesman for them. 38-6, 6 1/4 to go. 3rd and 31 for Scott Mullen. Pressure. Wilson. Another sack for Central Michigan inside the 5 down to the 2-yard line.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I think you're going to see probably in practice, the first day of practice next week, working on that backside pressure, because there's absolutely nobody even looking at that side. And you can see there, number 73, the right tackle, David Porter. He's a freshman, so there's where, that's his assignment. He has to look to the outside because there's nobody else out there. And I got to believe with the success that the Chippewas have had all day long with that outside pressure, especially the weak side, they're going to look at that for a long, long time during the next week.
Wilson, they love his athleticism. Wilson was licking his chops on that sack. That was Pitt back at the 40-yard line, so Central Michigan should get decent field position. Baker gets the kick off. It's a high kick. Pitt's going to let it hit at the 35-yard line, and it goes out of bounds. So Central Michigan 35 yards away from the end zone, still being shut out though. 5:23 to go. It's 38 and the big goose egg for Central Michigan.
Part of the pageantry as O2 UPN presents the 1998 Septemberfest Salute to Labor Parade. Live Monday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Only on O2 UPN.
We're back at Kinnick Stadium, 5 minutes and 23 seconds. So let's check out the United States cellular play of the game.
Well, from a pure execution standpoint, this has to be it. The pass from McCann to Oliver right after the Chippewas gave a fumble away to the Hawkeyes, and then the next play they capitalized on the break and put it in the end zone. So very good execution on the part of the Hawkeyes.
No doubt about that. Redshirt freshman to the true freshman. Nevins in motion. The pitch goes to Eric Flowers. Nowhere to go. wrap him up at the 44-yard line. Loss of 6 on the play.
Well, there's a lot of new people in there now on the defensive side of the ball for the Hawkeyes, and again, with the enthusiasm you can see right there. You know, they don't know how many games they're going to play in this year, but they're going to have this opportunity at least to show something. And good pursuit down the line to make a good play.
So the Chippewas sending trip receivers to the top of your screen. Pitt is the closest. Lougheed, lots of pressure, dives up to the 40. Has to get way down to the 25-yard line for the first down, so that'll bring up a 3rd and long.
And that's kind of interesting because I think that was run all the way there, Mike. He was sitting back there. You did mention that he spread wide, tried to spread the field as far as the defensive secondary, and hoping just to open up a seam up the middle that he could get through there. And with the secondary folks being spread out, good potential of a great gain, but good defensive line play by the Hawkeyes.
Again, Pitt. Dana, Nevins, wide right, Lougheed, and it's almost complete to Allen. Good coverage on the play, and Allen almost made a nice catch, pulling it in.
Almost a sensational catch. The Hawkeyes also in there really, and Lougheed, boy, Lougheed to let that ball go, he was leveled, and was lucky to just get the ball away, but pretty good coverage downfield, but Allen almost made a great catch.
And the coverage by another true freshman, DJ Johnson. So Hayden Fry showing a lot of young players an opportunity to get some playing time early here in 1998. Kemp with another kick. This one hits. This time it gets a Central Michigan bounce, goes out of bounds at the 5-yard line. So the Hawkeyes, with 3 minutes and 53 seconds to go, leading 38-0, now have 95 yards. So green grass in front of them. Penalty flag on the play on the far side. Going to be a holding call against Iowa.
Well, that can't hurt a whole lot with half the distance to the goal, so Hawkeyes are way back into their own territory, and it'll be interesting to see what offense Hayden Fry sends in there now relative to the strategy.
Half the distance to the goal. The ball's at the 2.5. First down, Iowa.
But even though you have probably mostly second, maybe even third team players in there now, what a great experience to say, hey, we're going to be at the 2.5-yard line sometimes. And what do we try? What do we use? And knowing Hayden Fry, he's calculated well enough that he said, hey, here's the offense that we should try and run from this position. Even if it was in the middle of the season, let's expect that's what it is.
Last year's Iowa's departed receivers accounted for 103 of 143 catches. I thought we'd see a lot more of Khalil Hill and Yamini, but now things are starting to open up for Iowa. Mullen, the quick handoff, and Jeremy Allen. Track star picks up 10 on the play. Allen placing 4th in the World Championships in France in the discus. He's another redshirt freshman, 233-pounder out of Indianapolis, Indiana. A lot of young football players here.
Well, boy, I'll say there really are, and a lot of those you haven't heard their names yet. From 1 year or 2 years ago. So it's interesting to see some of those people on the field now. But again, there's some execution on their part. There's a lot of encouragement.
And as you pointed out a couple of minutes ago, still some pretty good sticking going on at this juncture of the game.
Boy, I'll say, and that's I think it's kind of like to hear that.
Like to hear those pads popping. You look back at last year in the 7-5 record. I mean, you guys, Iowa, started 4-0. Then you have back-to-back games with Ohio State and Michigan. But of course, Hawkeye fans, Hawkeye players feeling that should have beat Michigan up in Ann Arbor. But despite the 7-5 record, there were records galore. 21 records were set here at Iowa last year. Shows you the kind of talent that they have to replace. So you have to use a lot of those young faces. Boy, Mullen doing a nice job, zigzagging up to the 35-yard line. Finally dropped down by Brian Ligood. Boy, he's kind of a lanky-looking guy at 6'6", 210 pounds, but he's a pretty decent runner.
Yeah, he did a nice job there, and I don't know if this was by design. It almost looks like it was. And as he moved it upfield, there's some pretty good blocking going on, and he ran off those blocks and picked up some nice yardage. I got to believe that'll be kind of a topic of conversation in one of the offensive meetings. Quarterback keep right up the middle.
Nice job of using the umpire as a screen that time, too, so definitely a smart guy as well. Speaking of smart guys, too, you look at the offensive and defensive coordinator here for the Hawkeyes. You've got Elliott, who was a candidate for a Rhodes Scholar, and Patterson was a valedictorian in high school, so they definitely made some nice adjustments here at halftime.
That's one of the things that the Hawkeyes over the years, especially under Hayden, have been famous for. They really are strategists when it comes to halftime adjustments and during the game adjustments as well, but primarily at halftime. So it's all interesting.
Early in the season, but there you have it. Top 25 by conference. The Big Ten. Of course, you got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. Big Ten with the #1 team in the country. SEC with 5. The big debates. Who's better, the Big Ten or the SEC? Some people say the SEC, the top 5 teams, but top to bottom, it's the Big Ten. Mullen again up to the 45-yard line. The last play covered 22 yards. This time he picks up 15 more.
And he's going to be very close to the first down, which I think he does have. But that's interesting that he's running that ball 2 times now, and he lowered his shoulder pretty good right there to pick up that extra yardage to make it the first.
Number 6, Chris Oliver, the 2 freshmen, with a touchdown grab back in the ball game, so getting a lot of playing time. These are the kinds of games where you wonder if you should try to hold on to a player and redshirt him, or get him the playing time, get him the experience early. Minute 37 to go. Quick handoff. Allen still on his feet at the 50. And Sean Williams hanging on for dear life. If not, Allen probably at least gets down to the 35 or 30-yard line of Central Michigan.
Well, you look at Allen, and you mentioned he's a track man, he's discus thrower, but he's 6'1", 233. But just that time there, look, he had a lot of quickness. He showed a lot of quickness getting up to the line of scrimmage, and the jump to the outside. So there's a great potential there also to be following up after Michael Berger graduates this year. And so it's fun to see players like that.
Less than a minute to go now. I formation for the Hawkeyes. Penalty flags all over. So these players, no hurry to get out the football.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
You've seen that.
12 men on the offense.
Oh, there you go.
5-yard penalty.
Now they're all trying to get some playing time.
That's it. The back in there at the time, Honor, he's another Iowa City player as just a redshirt freshman. He was an outstanding tailback in high school, and he has a lot of talent also as a young man, getting a chance to play and coming up through the ranks here at the University of Iowa.
Keep in mind the Hawkeyes, we talked about the fact you have Derrick Rose making his 24th start today. Matt Reichel making his 25th consecutive start. Chad Deal has a lot of experience, but they don't have Chris Knipper, former tight end. Should have been starting at the right tackle. Matter of fact, talking with Phil Hattie, the sports information director for the Iowa Hawkeyes, said he heard from a scout for the Denver Broncos and said, hey, how come Knipper isn't in the lineup? And I'm not sure if the Hawkeyes will have him this year or not, but if the scouts are looking at him, there must be a future for the young man.
Well, he's a good athlete, and obviously being a tight end, he can run them pretty well, but he's the type of guy that as he put on some weight and he's extremely strong. A lot of people compare him to the likes of Verba, that left here a couple of years ago and went with the Green Bay Packers. So there's a lot of potential, I think, in Knipper's ability at his alignment.
Iowa Hawkeyes now 33 seconds away from their first victory here in '98. It's one of 2 teams in the Big Ten with more than one trip to Pasadena in the last 12 years, and you're looking at it right here. Hayden Fry and his staff has done a remarkable job here. You look at from 79 to 97, Mike, the Big Ten elite. Michigan with 170 wins, Ohio State with 167. The Hawkeyes are right there with 140. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but I just truly don't believe that they have the same type of players year in and year out, high school-wise, coming into Iowa City that they do at Michigan and Columbus, Ohio. The final 10 seconds. The sad thing about this, Mike, Central Michigan, that's the first time they've been shut out since 1982. But they will go down without any points here this afternoon in Iowa City. 38-0 Iowa. Mike and I will be back with our final thoughts coming up right after this. You're watching college football from ESPN+.